Rock me.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to KZZH's broadcast of the 2024 Humboldt Roller Derby season. 6 home bouts that will take us from now until November. The doubleheaders each time featuring Humboldt's 2 road teams, Root Force, the B team, and then the Redwood Rollers later on in a sanctioned bout. I'm Paul Brassu. I'll be your play-by-play announcer, and I'm here with former Redwood Roller great, the 2015 MVP blocker of the year. I'm here with Chelsea. Chelsea, welcome to the broadcast.
Pleasure to be here on Access Humboldt. I'm very excited and can't wait to tell everyone about the play-by-play action to all these unfortunate souls that can't be here in person with us.
Well, you know, that is a true statement because this place is getting packed fast. And if you want to get a seat, you got to get here early. There's a lot of enthusiasm in this room. So you said you're very excited. Take me back to your roller derby days and what it's like for the season opener.
Oh, man. So my roller derby name is Chelsea. I'm the green-eyed monster. I'm definitely jealous of all these skaters here tonight. You can't put to words the excitement of just being part of that team, that power of that group. And the season opener, it's just setting the stage for the entire season. Like, if they win tonight, hey, can you still hear me? My thing cut out. Oh, sorry. If they win tonight, that's going to set the stage for the rest of the season and really give them that like momentum to keep going and winning, especially the second game tonight, which is the WIFTA Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association sanctioned game, where we can up our rankings. So that's going to be really important. And if you lose, you can always come back and use that to power up. But I think it's better to go in with a win.
Of course, opening the season with a win would be fantastic. Let's explain the format here. Chelsea said the second game tonight is the sanctioned game. This would be the B game. This is a game that's going to be between Root Force, which is a team of aspiring roller derby players trying to move up to the A team. They're playing a non-sanctioned bout against Floodwater Roller Derby Club. What's an appropriate name for this winter? They hail from the Roseville, Rockland area and have players that come from Placer and Sacramento County. They've been a team since 2012, and the Floodwater program, this is their top team in the program. So they're a program that's building to try to have the kind of infrastructure that Humboldt Roller Derby has. So they're here. Now, tonight, Floodwater is the first team. They're from Sacramento. The Disco Divas are coming from Bakersfield. That's the second game. So this is kind of a rare doubleheader where you'll have 2 different organizations come and visit.
It's nice to have different teams come out and visit us in the Redwoods. Yeah, Bakersfield Diamond Divas are going to be here for our second game. Well, they're already here warming up. But yeah, we're really lucky to have teams that will travel to us here in behind the Redwood curtain. Not always.
That is amazing. I think all of the listeners out there that have been involved with, say, youth sports and how much kids in every single sport have to travel to get out of Humboldt County, to have people come to Humboldt County is tremendous. It's different from other sports. I guess the Crabs get that.
Yeah.
And the Redwood Humboldt Roller Derby as well. Well, one reason they do come here is because of this incredible scene at Franceschi Hall.
Yes, we have an amazing crowd. You might be able to hear them in the back kind of yelling at us right now. But we're really lucky to have such an amazing community that will help support our sport. It's volunteer run. We have sponsors that support the league. They're announcing the skaters right now, so you're going to hear a lot of cheering, a lot of cheering and chanting.
It's an amazing scene. The route force is being announced, and they're skating different sides of the track and waving to the crowd, blowing kisses as they are announced, and they eventually are going to go ahead. And once they're announced, the home team, they're going to be around the entire circle of the track, and the fans love it. They're family members and friends out to see them, and it goes ahead and it exemplifies what this team is a community team. This is a community event, and Humboldt has really embraced it.
It's one of my favorite things about Humboldt County. In fact, I have family visiting from Massachusetts right now, and I was so happy that there was a Humboldt Roller Derby game happening so I could really give them a taste of Humboldt and what it means to be part of this community. It's one thing to see all of this, our beautiful scenery and outdoor spaces, but to see everyone come together and support a team like Humboldt Roller Derby that started from the ground up is really incredible.
Well, this team has really grown. I mean, the infrastructure of the Humboldt Roller Derby is amazing. They will play a sanctioned bout in the second game tonight. They're the number 31 ranked team in the Western region, but they're also the 104th ranked team in the world, in the entire planet Earth. Plays right here in Humboldt County. Now, for some listeners, it's not the same kind of roller derby that, say, people my age grew up with the bank track. This is a flat track. I mean, how hard is that to compete on a flat track?
You know, I've never skated on a bank track, but I think that is like one of the things a lot of people think of, especially the older generation. They grew up watching that on TV, the bank track. And it was more like fake wrestling, like a lot of performance art, elbows and punches and tripping. Now it is a legitimate sport. This is all real action happening, real rules enforced.
and real consequences. You said you had some serious injuries when you played for it.
Very real injuries, as any derby player can contest. It's not if you'll get injured, it's when. Yes, I was fortunate enough to crack my left kneecap.
Cracked your left knee. So this is the real deal. The hits are real. The athleticism is real. And here we have, there'll be 10 skaters at a time, 5 from each team. Each team goes ahead and dresses 15 skaters for the game. They come out in groups of 5. When they come out in a group of 5, there is a jammer and 4 blockers. Now, why don't you tell us how do you score in roller derby?
Sure. So like you said, there's one jammer. That's our scoring person. That's going to be the one with the they call it a panty, but it's the helmet cover with a star on it. The helmet cover designates the jammer, and that's the person who can score points. Once the jammer gets through the pack, the 4 players trying to block them, the blockers, once they lap that person, they can start scoring points. And yeah, that's basically
that's how you score in roller derby. You pass.
You could say it's like the star helmet's like the ball, I guess.
Right. Or they're the live person. They're it.
They're it, yeah. So
they're the designated scorer, and then the blockers are the defense, of course, which is hoping to keep them from passing.
It's really difficult to be that jammer. You're the target. Everybody wants to take you down. It's a lot of stress. Not everybody has it in them. It was when we did training camp, everyone has to practice as the jammer, and I was always just waiting, like trying to just get it over with, because it is very painful when everyone on the team is trying to take you down.
Now, but you were an MVP blocker. What's the blocker mindset out there?
The blocker mindset is to stay with your wall, use your team. You have 3 other players, hopefully, unless someone's in the penalty box, to form that wall. And you want to make a wall that jammer is not going to get through. Counting on your teammates, trusting your teammates, going through the motions that you have practiced over and over again, that muscle memory they build in practice.
So how much time is spent on the art of blocking, the defensive part of the game when you go to practice?
A lot. And they do practices where they're practicing those blocking skills. They also have team meetings when they're discussing the strategy and making those formations. I imagine like they do in like the football locker rooms with the whiteboards and stuff. We have that same kind of thing.
Now, they're discussing strategies. Would either of the teams, I mean, they won't know what floodwater really does or what the Bakersfield Diamond Divas really do, will they?
Yeah, if I mean, unless they're watching footage, which a lot of teams they'll watch the footage of recent games to see like what kind of strategies they like. And there are like, the tried and true strategies that people will use over and over again that we'll see tonight, and we'll kind of bring those up as we see them happening. There's our dirty blowhard.
The dirty blowhards are going very hard at the moment. It's been a wonderful scene. The Route Force went ahead and did a lap after they announced the officials are now entering the ring. The officials tonight, the head referee is Wicked Lizard. The inside hack referee is Missy Elliott. The jam referees are Quake and Bake and Mr. Bad. It should be said that Quake and Bake and Mr. Bad, those referees, the jam referees, are responsible for going ahead and indicating the points that the jammer has scored. Their job is to watch the jammer. And then there's outside pack referees. Megalodonna and Meow will be the outside referees. Not like referees or umpires I grew up with. There's no Norm Schachter or Nestor Shylock here. It's Megalodonna and Meow. Everyone has these names, the persona of the roller derby. Tell me about that. How did that come about?
They do some amazing names, and I think that's our names. I think that's kind of a leftover from the origins of roller derby that you're talking about, like that bank track, kind of more like the fun in it. Same with like their uniforms, not taken like maybe as seriously. You'll see like some fishnets and fun leggings and things out there on the track. It's just a way to show your personality.
So how did you choose Chelsea?
I went through a lot of different name considerations. I didn't want to have a name that was already taken. My name is Chelsea, and I just thought if people are seeing me on the street recognizing me from Derby, I would hear Chelsea and think, oh, yeah, they're talking to me.
It had nothing to do with jealousy.
And it's like jealousy, right? Exactly. Use that jealousy to my advantage, hopefully.
Okay, well, there you go.
We got to come up with a name for you, though, Pete.
Oh, me? I don't know. Well, maybe that we've got all season to do that. I hadn't even thought of that. It's exciting. I mean, everything about the scene here tonight says that it's a lot of fun. So people are in a good mood.
And it's not just the skaters that get to pick those fun names. The volunteers, like the refs, like that you said earlier, but even the non-skating officials get to choose a derby name. And they're always looking for volunteer run. So if you want to come up with your own fun roller derby name, you can join at HumboldtRollerDerby.com.
There you go. Don't say you get nothing for volunteering. You get a roller derby name.
You also get free pizza.
What else do you get?
Free pizza.
Free pizza. Well, that'll bring people to every meeting. So you're listening to KZZH 96.7 Eureka Community Radio from Access Humboldt. We do have underwriters for this show. We'd like to thank the Speakeasy. Support for Humboldt Derby Radio on KZZH comes from the Speakeasy, a New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar with seasonal craft cocktails, local fresh ingredients, live jazz, blues music, and a love of roller derby. Open 7 days a week from 4 to 11 p.m. The Speakeasy can be found at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka. You can call them at 707-444-2244. So the first pack is coming out. We're in turn one, and they're lining up on the jam line. And who's got the helmets on that are the jammers?
I can't quite see who the jammers are yet from this angle, but there are two starting lines. The jammers are at the back. The blockers are lined up in the front, forming those walls, as you see there. Let me see if I
It
can.
looks like Carhartt Crash, who was talked to us before.
Oh,
And talk about Crash
oh,
breaking through and around, and she's going to pick up points. She broke through. Humboldt is doing a great job here in corner number one in their tripod formation, keeping the jammer from floodwater through. And for a second time around, Carhartt Crash, although Trix is going to bump her out on the second turn. So
that's our, she is now officially lead jammer. She was the first jammer out of the pack. So the Humboldt team is now the one scoring points. The other team, the Floodwater, has not gotten their jammer out of the pack yet. So they are unable to score points until they do an entire lap.
great job by the Humboldt defense. That tripod defense that they're known for is just surrounded and enveloped the jammer from the Floodwater team. Meanwhile, 3 times around for Carhartt Crash, she's lapped their team. She scored 12 points. It's 12-0 in favor of Humboldt. And she's going to call off the jam, which is an option for a lead jammer to do, as Floodwater was coming up with their jammer to go ahead and to try to catch up and score some points. But by calling off the jam, Humboldt stopped that rush. And this will be another 2 sets of 5 players getting ready for the second jam rush of the night. 16-0, Humboldt. What a start.
Great start for Humboldt Roller Derby. Carhartt Crush really making it look easy. It is not easy, I promise you.
And a same situation, breaking through. And that's Carl Sparks breaking through for Humboldt. Meanwhile, the jammer, still, this is the second jammer of the night for Floodwater, and they haven't broken through yet.
It's not for
Tiger Bomb, and then Carl Sparks is going to go through and break through. And she's going to score, and it's 20-0 in favor of Humboldt. Meanwhile, there is nothing going on for Floodwater. They just can't seem to break through the Humboldt blockers. Carl Sparks takes on head on, knocked to the ground, and finally Tiger Bomb has broken loose for Floodwater.
Humboldt Roller Derby jammer saw Floodwater's Tiger Bomb jammer breaking through the pack, so she called it so that Floodwater is unable to score any points. Smart call from Humboldt Roller Derby, bringing us to 24 points for Root Course and nothing for Floodwater.
24-0, 8-0 on that particular jam. And here we go again. This will be the third jam session. Is that what they call them? Jam sessions?
The third jam, yeah.
Okay, the jam. And you see Humboldt getting in a position that it's almost like they put up a fence of blockers to keep Floodwater out. But this time Floodwater breaks free. And that's going to be Rhino in the
Number
breaking
28,
out.
yes, Ramby Rhino.
Ramby Rhino breaking loose. And
Oh,
what a
tiptoeing
job
along
by
the edge.
Ramby Rhino to pass the Humboldt blockers, tiptoeing along the edge of round one. There's a player down on the left side. That's Cherry Bomber, been knocked out of the ring. Meanwhile, Ramby Rhino
Cherry
into
Bomber
the
really
back.
struggling.
And they've been
Humboldt Jammers going to the penalty box.
both. Now, here's something interesting. Both of the jammers are in the penalty box. So what happens here?
This is what they call a jammerless jam. It's when both jammers are in the box. They just kind of have to wait. Oh, they are both out. They are rushing, doing a race, going towards the blockers.
Now, how are they in the box and then out of the box?
They served their penalties and then they were let go.
That was a short penalty, a short timeout, and they're back on the track. Ramby Rhino and Cherry Bomber are your jammers. They've been pushed out of bounds, so they have to go to the spot where they left the track. And here we go. So it's still the same two jammers, Ramby Rhino and Cherry Bomber. And I'll tell you what, Humboldt is so impressive. Root Force is doing the job as far as wrapping up the jammer. Here comes Cherry Bomber. She has broke loose and is into the pack.
You can already see Cherry Bomber moving a little bit slower than she was. After you get hit enough times. Oh, and she took off that panty. She took that
took
helmet.
off the chamois on the helmet.
So you are allowed to pass that in the jam is called. She took that helmet cover off because you are allowed to pass that to your pivot, especially if you're getting beat around like that and you can't take it anymore. You can pass that to your pivot, who then becomes the jammer.
Now, a pivot is a blocker that when they receive the cover for the helmet can be designated as a jammer, and the jammer can do that at any time.
Yes.
So there's timeout here, 24-8. Floodwater and Ramby Rhino had an excellent session there. She was 8-0 on the session, and kind of little bit by a little bit getting Floodwater back into the game. 24-8. The strength so far of the game has been the Humboldt blockers and the incredible kind of picket fence they set up at the start. Right there on the jam line, they're linking arms, and they're just absolutely wrapping up the Floodwater jammers. Hardcore is going to be the Floodwater jammer this time. They were the first jammer to start the game. There's a Humboldt person in the penalty box right now, and they're jammerless.
Yeah, they're starting in the penalty box, so a little bit of an advantage for Floodwater being the only jammer on the track at the start of this next jam here.
So Carhartt crash in the penalty box. Once again, Humboldt comes with this link together. The blockers actually grab each other just under the shoulders and look quite menacing, if you ask me, to start the jam. And here comes Hardcore. Good move, but makes a mistake, I think, going back to the inside.
They're just tripping
And
over.
Meeting some very hard resistance.
The last line of defense, trying to get that jammer out.
And Hardcore is trying their hardest, but can't quite pass the blockers of Humboldt. They've taken her all the way around turn 1 and 2, and now Hardcore breaks loose. So now they're scoring to happen. Carhartt crash, or that's Cherry Bomber actually, is back on the track, and they are the jammer. But Hardcore has passed to Humboldt and scored 4 points, and it's coming around. That cuts the lead in half, 24-12. You can see how fast you can go on a run in this game. Hardcore meeting back up with the blockers. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber is just, they're suffering from the stifling defense. Now, Floodwater, the best defense Floodwater's played in this game. And once again, Hardcore comes through. And this is now a much closer game, 24-16. No reason for Hardcore ever to call off the jam. You got players falling all over the place. Oh, and Hardcore gets hammered by Dega right out of turn 2, but she is able to spin 3.
And she calls the jam. She wasn't.
She called the jam.
And that's what you'd expect for her to call it left or after a hit like that.
Not before she scored 12 points. That individual session was 12-0. The last 2 sessions have been 8-0 and 12-0 in favor of Floodwater. And they're back in this game. They're back in this bout 24-20. So here we go.
Things move so quickly in
They
roller
do.
derby. So
Well, do you ever feel like you're out of it?
Yes.
You do.
All right, there they go. There's the whistle. Floodwater giving that Humboldt roller derby jammer a hard time, but she's able to sneak by on the outside line.
We're Humboldt for root force. That's Tasmanian Devil breaking through and scoring points. And Tasmanian Devil, one of 4 players tonight that will play in both the B game and the A game. So we'll be calling that name. And they are way out ahead of the pack right now. They have scored 4 points and make it 28-20. Coming up on the jam, nifty move on the inside, and they're going to call off the jam. And the reason being that Tiger Bomb for Floodwater was coming up behind them. So instead of maybe getting caught up and letting Tiger Bomb pass for some points, they called the jam, and Humboldt wins the session 4-0.
Yes, the jammer gets a point for every blocker they pass after that initial lap. So smart call from Humboldt Roller Derby, calling it right before the Floodwater team was able to score points on that jam.
Okay, set for the next jam. Now, do the blockers take it personally when they pass? They get passed? What did you do when you were the MVP?
They call it jamnesia. One jam at a time.
Jamnesia.
Gotta forget, just one at a time. Oh,
There's a breakaway by Carhartt Crush wearing the number 8,008.
Carhartt Crush just crushing it tonight.
Carhartt Crush is just straight ahead, like an old fullback. And Carhartt Crush has gone through twice and scoring 4 points to make it 33-20. And then calling off the rush, saver for short yardage situations. Carhartt Crush breaking through 33-20 in favor of Route 4's. Floodwater had been on a 20-0 run, and now the Route Force has come back with 9 unanswered points.
We have Sassafras lined up on the blocker line. Everyone getting ready for the next jam.
And here they go. And, you know, a nifty screen was set there, and Carl Sparks breaks through. There was a nifty screen set on the left side by
Humboldt Roller Derby really using that strategy. The blockers using their restraint. You're only allowed to be about 20 feet from your pack. So you see these blockers not moving.
right.
So that's because they want to keep Floodwater from being able to chase their jammer. It gives their jammer an opportunity to break through.
Well, it also seems like the blockers for Humboldt doing a great job. 3 of them, but they'll use one of those blockers kind of as a lead blocker for the jammer. And that's what Purple Sticky Punch has been fantastic, leading the way for Carl Sparks to go ahead and break through. And Humboldt's having a big session here. They're going to go ahead and call the session. Carl Sparks is going to score a grand total of 12 points. That means Humboldt went 12-0 on that, 12-0 on that particular session, and built their lead back up to 45-20. Now, we haven't seen a session yet where both teams have scored.
We haven't. It's that jammer being really conscious about where the other jammer is on the track. That's just smart derby, being able to call that off before the other jammer is allowed to score points.
And when they call that off, the clock does stop. So 17-12 to go here in the first half. Route Force 45, Floodwater 20.
We know that 45-20 isn't going to last long. These scores can change just like that. It's only 2 minutes, but you can score a lot of points in those 2 minutes.
Well, let me ask you. I tried to ask this earlier. Do you ever feel out of it, or do you always know that you can rally in roller derby?
There's definitely, you take a hit every once in a while, and it's a little harder to recover than other times. That's just part of that endurance, I guess.
Well, speaking of that, how exhausting is it to be a roller derby?
I think you can see it on the look on the jammers' faces after they try so hard. That 2 minutes is like a lifetime when you're at a standstill trying to break through 4 players. And you can see the exhaustion on their faces.
They are exhausted, but not too exhausted to dance to the Dirty Derby Blowhard band. I Want to Love You in the background, and the players dancing away together, both teams. Nice to see. The refs have huddled up and are discussing something. We've got 2 people in the penalty box. It's Carl Sparks, and I can't see the player for Floodwater. It's also their jammer. Here at Franceschi Hall, we are located in Term 1. So we are the farthest that you could possibly be from the penalty area.
Gotcha.
Now, 7 penalties. That's what and then you foul out.
That's right. Yeah.
So once you foul out, you can't come back on the rink.
Can't come back in after that.
Now, does that mean that do you have to sit out the next game, or you're just out for this game?
It's just for this game. Some
see.
of our players are playing in 2 games, like you had mentioned earlier, but it starts fresh again in that second game. And the coaches are very conscious of those penalties, so they might hold back on those players and wait until they're crucial.
Tell me about some of this strategy we saw on that last jam. It was far more obvious where 3 Humboldt blockers, root force blockers, really linked together. But one of the 4th blocker, remember there's 5 on the rink at a time, the 4th blocker breaking away like a lead blocker, like a pulling guard, so to speak, and leading the jammer through, setting screens, blocking so that the jammer could break through and get clear of the pack. Is that a strategy that's often employed?
Yeah, that's all about the communication. The lead blocker is our pivot, the one with the designated stripe on their helmet. They're also the ones that can take that jammer panty and become the jammer if the jammer wants to pass that on. But it's all about the communication. As the lead blocker, they're communicating with their teammates and working together, like what strategy, where are they going to go on the track? What defense are they going to use? And you saw that they call the tripod defense, where one skater is skating backwards and kind of using those 2 forward skating skaters as like to hold on to so they can see what's going on and not let anybody through.
So just for the audience, a panty is a covering that goes on the helmet. One panty has a stripe on it right now. Slam Chowder, number 707, is wearing the panty with the stripe. That makes them the pivot. If they're the pivot, they can receive the other panty if the jammer throws the panty.
That is correct, sir. Yes, they can get past that jammer panty. They do not become the jammer until they actually get that cover on their helmet, though, which can be a challenge in the middle of a pack.
Were you ever a pivot?
Yes, I was a pivot.
Did you ever get the panty thrown to you?
I have not gotten the panty passed to me, but jamming was never my strong suit. I think the ones that are the best jammers, and this isn't always the case, but it tends to be the really fast, spry skaters, the smaller skaters, the ones that are able to just slide right through those holes. I'm kind of a big, I make a better wall. I make a better wall.
Well, although we say that, and certainly, fast, I'm thinking of hardcore for Floodwater looks like one of the more scat back kind of jammers. But I'll tell you what, tonight, impressively, has been a Carhartt crush, and there's been nothing other than just smashing into the line for her. She's been fantastic.
You'll see 2 kinds of jammers. The small, fast jammers that kind of just push right through that hole, and then there's like the ones that will just kind of manhandle their way through. So there's more than one way to get through a wall, right?
There you go. And here come the Carl Sparks, and Carl Sparks is the jammer for Humboldt. Great job. Great job breaking through. Meanwhile, having a tough time is Rosie for Floodwater. I'll tell you what, Floodwater hasn't often been able to get out of turn 1. And here's Carl Sparks.
She's coming against all 4 blockers.
Yes, the block, they've changed, Floodwater has changed their tactics here. Kind of really, but Sparks has broken through and scored 4 points.
She sure has, and the pivot for Floodwater is already going to the penalty box. Oh, it looks like one of our Humboldt Roller Derby skaters also getting a penalty for cutting the track. You're not allowed to go out of bounds, or you're going to go to the box.
Okay, so Sparks lapped the field one more time, had a great run of 8, making it now 53-20 in favor of Root Force. Remember, this was a 24-20 bout at one point just a few minutes ago, and Humboldt has gone on an incredible string, scoring 29 unanswered points, 53-20 in favor of Root Force. And here we go again. The jam is starting on the jam line, and this is really bunched up this time. And there's really a lot of contact. But this is Ramby Rhino, and she is straddling that line, staying in. Fantastic job by Ramby Rhino, who's been the best jammer for Floodwater. Wow, what
She does a twisty.
oh, she did a great. She leapt, she jumped, she twinkle-toed, but she just went out. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber is tied up at the end of turn one. She finally gets through. And now it's the first time we see jammer on jammer. So Cherry Bomber ahead of Ramby Rhino. They're both coming up to a very formidable line. And Ramby Rhino, who had scored 4 points, is going to call off the jam. They were all going to mash up into turn number 2, but jam called off, and that breaks a 29-point streak that the Root Force had. Ramby Rhino scores 4. And it's 24-53, 53-24, right?
Teams are lined up again. I love how some of the skaters will have like uniforms that match their personalities. Like Aunt Flo has like some bloody handprints.
Right. The makeup. And no surprise here, breaking through almost immediately is Carhartt Crush. And Carhartt Crush all the way around and into turn 1, and Carhartt Crush has gone through. There's a penalty, though.
Looks like Bad Astral, the jammer for Floodwater, is sent to the penalty box for cutting the track.
Oh.
If you go out of bounds and make forward progress, that's called cutting the track. If you go out, you can come back in behind the pack. The pack is just the group of skaters. And then that's not a penalty, but clearly Bad Astral did not.
Bad Astral coming back and smashing into and being called for pushing. Meanwhile, Carhartt Crush, while everybody's looking the other way, passes through and scores 4 points.
She just snuck through on that inside line.
And now trying the outside. 4 more. That's an 8-point run. Pixie Dust vacated her spot along the outside. Hard to believe that it was just that easy for Carhartt Crush, who's now going to try the middle of the line. And it doesn't matter. She goes around. She goes through the middle. This is an incredible scoring evening for Carhartt Crush. That's 12 unanswered points. And right again, it's as if Floodwater just doesn't have a track of her.
It does seem like they didn't even see her coming there. They were so distracted by the other blockers.
How could they not? Now they get a bump on her, but she's going to break through again. She's got 20 unanswered points. It's 73-24, and Bad Astral is caught up into turn 3 with Humboldt. And oh my goodness, it's like a bowling ball and bowling pins over there in turn 3 as Carhartt Crush, living up to their name, did the crushing on that. A 20-point session, 73-24.
And we talk a lot about the jammers because they're the scoring ones, but the blockers are the unsung heroes of roller derby. Bianca Swagger really giving Astral Punch a hard time on that one, just knocking her down right on her behind.
So it's Carl Sparks again, taking them straight on. And Hardcore, who was a jammer earlier, doing a great job as a blocker to keep Carl Sparks. Oh, my goodness, there's some hitting going on. Squeezer. And Carl Sparks breaks through. Meanwhile, Tiger Bomb makes a great break to the inside, and they are now through. So here comes Carl Sparks up for a scoring pass. And, straight into Hardcore.
Carl
Through
Sparks trying to
turn
break
1.
there, and she calls
Carl
it.
Sparks and Tiger Bomb.
One of the things they don't talk about much is how aware you have to be as a jammer. Not only are you trying to break through this pack of everyone trying to just attack you, you also have to be conscious of that other jammer so they're not able to sneak up behind you and score any points. So head on a pivot.
Well, that was interesting because Carl Sparks called off the jam after scoring only 1 point, 74-24. There's a timeout here with 11:02 to go. What's a normal halftime score for roller derby?
A normal halftime score, I'd say that's probably, getting up there. This is a pretty high scoring game, but roller derby in general, it goes really fast. I don't see a lot of low scoring games. I would say this is probably typical-ish.
Well, only allowing 24 points to this.
So Floodwater is
With 11:02 to go, that's got to be on your lower side. Defensive gem being tossed out here by the Root Force team.
Like a team timeout. I think that looks like the Redwood Rollers or Root Force called the timeout for this one.
Well, Floodwater is not off to a very good start in this one.
The Root Force blockers just really giving those jammers a hard time. We haven't seen many successful Floodwater jammers tonight. They keep them out.
Amy Rhino is the only one that has scored with any consistency. Everybody else has just been completely locked up by the Humboldt blockers.
Yeah.
Humboldt Roller Derby. And this is Root Force, the B team of the traveling team. 4 of these players are going to be playing in the second game of the doubleheader, the A game. So here we go now. They're lining up the next jam. 11:02 to go, first half. 74-24.
The officials still officiating, talking, doing things. Skater enjoying their time at the line. Oh, there's the whistle. Here comes our next jam. Everyone moving pretty slowly at the start. Both blocking teams doing really well.
Ramby Rhino. But meanwhile, Cherry Bomber gets out. Now you've got a situation where the two jammers are going to chase each other. They're going to come up to the pack. This is where they score. They've got to break through once. But Ramby Rhino, Cherry Bomber goes out.
Looks like
and immediately called off the jam. While they're setting up the next jam here at the bottom of the hour, I want to thank some of our underwriters, Juan Pablo Cervantes. Support for Humboldt Roller Derby and KZZH comes from Juan Pablo Cervantes, who would like to remind you, all valid vote-by-mail ballots are processed in every election in California. You got to have them postmarked by March 5th and arrive at the elections office by the 12th. Find out more at the website, humboldtgov.org elections. Also, the Rennie Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law and public interest. Find out more by calling RenniePublicLawGroup.com or by calling 415-848-7200.
There's the whistle. Next jam.
And it's Carhartt Crush. Just getting all the attention, all 4 blockers, but they're able to slip to the side and break free. So now they'll be able to come back and see what they can do. The pivot has been given the star by Floodwater, and Carhartt Crush has scored 4 points. So Bad Astral had started out, but now, you've got a situation over there in turn number 2 where Bad Astral's been knocked out.
That's going to hurt tomorrow.
And the jam has been called off. Also, the Speakeasy, the New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar, seasoned craft cocktails, local fresh ingredients, live jazz and blues music, open 7 days a week from 4 to 11. The Speakeasy can be found at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka, or you can call them at 707-444-2244.
Just like that, everyone's lined up again, ready for the next jam.
So here we go on this jam. It's Carl Sparks and Hardcore. As the jammers, Hardcore breaks through beautifully on the outside. And now Floodwater, a rare opportunity to maybe get some points. Coming up to the jammers, 4 strong in turn 1. And she just goes ahead and makes a great move and blows through. Hardcore is going to call off the jam after scoring 4 points. as Carl Sparks was coming up to the pack. So 4 points, a great move down here in turn one. Humboldt, who has been a solid wall, not able to contain her there. A nifty move. 78-28, still a 50-point spread.
And Floodwater, it's not for lack of trying. Their blockers are doing their job out there. Humboldt Roller Derby's jammers are just taking advantage of every little space that they can find on the track tonight. There's the whistle.
So here we go. It's Cherry Bomber again. Cherry Bomber against 3 of the Floodwater players down here in turn one, and she's going to break loose.
Cherry Bomber's our lead jammer now, in control of calling off this game, but
And you're going to call out the jam.
yeah.
Calling out the jam was 7:21 to go. 78-28, still that 50-point margin.
Hardcore was right on her heel.
Humboldt, now let me ask this question. Would strategy now be anytime you can break 3, just score a little bit and call out that jam so you don't give them, Floodwater, the chance to have any sort of run?
I think that's what I would do with a lead like this, 50-point lead before the half. But who knows what they're saying at the coach.
Hard crush, no problem. Tiger Bomb locked up. This has been a matchup that has been very unfavorable for Floodwater when Carhartt crushes a jammer. And Carhartt crushes him, slips and falls down. Now they're trying to make it through the track, and they do. They're going to score at least 3 points on that.
Astral Crush started as a pivot during this jam, ended up as the jammer. That can also be a strategy. If you're sneaky about it, you can pass that jammer helmet cover without anyone really noticing. So everyone's eyes are on who they thought was the jammer.
Well, Bad Astral, you know, a much more powerful player than Tiger Bomb has shown tonight. 4 points were scored because they also got the point for passing the person in the penalty box. So 82-28. And who are the jammers? It's Carl Sparks and Atom Bomb for the first time. Carl Sparks breaking through. I'll tell you what, Hardcore playing some great ball. And now they have broke through. And Atom Bomb locked up. And they are finally going to get through. Carl Sparks coming up for a scoring pass. And lightly touched it all. And then bang down. Oh, my goodness. That was a big hit there by number 59 for Floodwater.
The first time I think we've seen Slamala Anderson
Squeezer
tonight.
Who? Shamala Anderson. Slamala Anderson. 3-0 on that pass. 85-28 with 5:06 to go.
We got the blockers and jammers lining up out in the lines once again. Looks like a timeout is being called.
Timeout being called.
But there's the whistle. Yeah, I think the teams were a little confused on that one.
Ramby Rhino back out there for Floodwater. I don't know how much gas Ramby Rhino has in the tank, but man, she's been fantastic for Floodwater, the brightest spot for the visitors, and they should have her out there as much as possible.
I would say she's probably the MVP for this game.
Cherry Bomber and Ramby Rhino, what a move to get around. And Cherry Bomber also got out and then takes the lead on the inside. So both jammers are going to be coming up to the pack at the same time. And Ramby Rhino slams Cherry Bomber into the pack, and she's breaking through. Now Cherry Bomber hangs in there. What a great move to get up and score points by Cherry Bomber. 4 points there. And they're coming up to the score just again. Ramby Rhino is also still in play. They have scored 4 points themselves. The first time we've really seen both of the jammers scoring in the same pass. And Ramby Rhino gets pushed out by the Humboldt defense. Humboldt is going to go ahead, and actually a rare time when they've lost a session to Route Force, and also a rare time when both teams have scored. So 7-5 in favor of Route force as far as that jam session, but it's still 90-35 in what has been a real trouncing here in the first half. And there's going to be a timeout.
That was our first jam where both teams scored points. I think Floodwater strategy was probably willing to sacrifice a couple of those points, hoping to make it up going through the pack. It didn't work out like they had.
I think they've got to. I don't know how you get in the back of the game when you're 55 points down, but I think one thing for sure, Ramby Rhino is their best scorer. She's the best jammer that they have. She in hardcore.
That's not even halftime yet.
Not even halftime at 90 points. So an incredible offensive outburst by brute force, especially Carhartt Crush, who has been running straight through the middle of the Floodwater defense. And then I'll tell you what, this brute force defense, the blockers have been incredible.
They really have, giving those few players a really hard time. See a former skater on the track, Atreyu. Just like myself, even if you get injured, you're not skating anymore. We just can't stay away from the derby action. It's just always there.
Now, since you retired, have you come all the time to the derby?
Not enough, but I am very happy to be back.
Well, now you're an official announcer, for goodness.
Here I am.
Not a one-time deal, right? You're on for the season.
I was the only one to volunteer, I guess.
You were the only one to volunteer? You mean they weren't lining up? I'm crushed. They weren't lining up to do this?
I'm sure I was the first choice.
Well, we could not be more excited at KZZH 96.7 to have roller derby on the radio, and we have been looking forward to it greatly. We did a match about February 24th, 2020, right before everything shut down. And that night, Gnome Wrecker was my color broadcaster, and we had a great time. And Humboldt Roller Derby swept the doubleheader that night, and everything seemed great. Wonderful scene. We're getting a clarification by the referee as to what is going on. And so a clarification on the rules, Floodwater asked for a review, which they actually got the time to do it.
And after review, that was denied. They said that was a legal block from the root force team. So they're back in action. Teams lined up once again, finishing up that official time.
Okay, Floodwater and root force after the discrepancy. Not good news for Floodwater because Carhartt Crash is out there again. And the Carhartt Crash has been a scoring machine. I don't know what Carhartt Crash's roller derby career has been like, but I would doubt that there's really been a half like this where they've just run wild.
They've been really doing great tonight.
So linking up is on the outside is the Floodwater defense, but it's no avail because Carhartt Crash just breaks through. It's incredible. Meanwhile, Humboldt completely stifling Tiger Bomb. This has been a terrible matchup all night. Tiger Bomb passes the panty to Bad Astral. Meanwhile, Carhartt Crash continues to score. Here's Bad Astral taking him on, but they're not going to get a chance to score any because Carhartt Crash is going to call off the jam. Great strategy. Humboldt wins the session 4-0, and it's 94-35.
It's like a trend with Floodwater tonight. Tiger Bomb passing that pivot, that jammer panty to Bad Astral, but
Tiger Bomb can't get through.
Yeah, Tiger Bomb is just not
just
moving at all.
So here's Carl Sparks and Hardcore. Hardcore's been impressive for
Hardcore
the
that inside line
Floodwater team, and Carl Sparks has been steady, and both of them have broke out at the same time, and they're having some jostling and elbows being thrown. And now I think there's a penalty being called on hardcore is going to have to go to the box. And Carl Sparks, no, they've called off the jam. That's what happened.
Yeah, no penalties on that.
No penalty. And Carl Sparks was just a little bit ahead and called out the jam. So nobody even scored in that jam session.
We're pretty much forcing that jam call so that Floodwater is not able to score any points.
So it's a Ramby Rhino Cherry Bomb matchup again with 2:01 to go. And Ramby Rhino, wow, knocking players down and staying in bounds. So impressive. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber trying to
penalty though.
So Floodwater's jammers in the penalty box and Cherry Bombers broke loose. And Floodwater braces for the oncoming try by Humboldt. There's some people going down in the middle there, but Cherry Bomber pushing ahead. She's 4-on-1 right now over there in turn 2 and was able to negotiate.
She cut the track.
She cut the track.
She had the advantage.
Just on the inside. That brings out Ramby Rhino with a chance to score. Humboldt buckling up, and Ramby Rhino is going to get through. Great job. 4 points. Squeezer with an incredible block. And Ramby Rhino scores, or not scores yet. She passed him for the first time coming out of the penalty box. Now here comes the scoring opportunity as she's plugging away in the middle there, trying to get past a very strong tripod. And she goes to the inside, and she stays in bounds and winds up scoring 4 points.
She tried to call it. She is not the lead jammer, but she is when what they call a power jam when there's only one jammer on the track, except now Cherry Bomb is out of the box. That power jam opportunity is gone. Let's see if Cherry Bomber calls it before Floodwater is able to score anymore.
But Ramby Rhino at least has gone ahead and has the advantage by getting to the pack first around turn 3. Oh, they are just completely stalled. This is like, you know, the inertia of it all. And Ramby Rhino breaks loose and stays in bounds. How did that happen? 4 more points. That's 8-0 for Floodwater on this session. And here comes Ramby Rhino for more, but the jam is going to be called.
Yeah,
the jam is going to be called.
Cherry Bomber saw Rhino coming up to the back again, not allowing her to score any more points.
Cherry Bomber did score 2, so 8-2 is the session, 96-43, and that's going to be the half, 96-43 in favor of Route 4.
What a great end to the first half, though. Those 2 power jams, both jammers getting the opportunity to be the only jammers on the track. Interesting when Floodwater had their jammer and Route Force had the jammer in the box, not being the lead jammer, not being able to call it off, but she tried to anyway. Guess she didn't realize she was not the lead jammer until after she tried to call that.
So we're gonna have a 10-minute halftime. Halftime has activities, but one of the activities is the next team up, the Diamond Divas of Bakersfield, are out warming up.
It sure is. Yep, the off-skate warm-ups are happening.
96-43 in favor of Humboldt is the score.
I don't know what the Diamond Divas are doing on the track right now. Their on-skate warm-up isn't supposed to happen until 7:30.
Right, I don't know what protocol is. As soon as we get Nate over here, he'll handle the halftime festivities.
Jean-Luc Picard dancing away like she's not even tired after all that hard work in the first half.
Well, and what do you do in the second half? More of the same, or you just kind of go ahead and, run out the clock, call off those jams, and just, the way they're playing defense, it's going to be very difficult for Floodwater to even get close. I have one underwriter I got to get in, Cafe Brio, European-style bistro with casual organic bites, baked goods, artisanal coffees, and local wines. Open 7 days a week from 8:30 to 2:30. Cafe Brio can be found at 791 G Street on the Arcata Plaza or cafebrio.com. Or you can call them at 822-5922.
screen penalty box and our
Welcome to the KZZH Community Calendar for the week starting Friday, February 23rd, 2024. On Friday, February 23rd, check out Digital Story Screening World Premiere and Youth Panel from 3 to 5 p.m. at the D Street Neighborhood Center, 1301 D Street in Arcata. Screened will be 3 to 5 minute films created by youth who have experience in foster care, juvenile justice, mental health, and homelessness services. A panel discussion with young filmmakers will follow. Also on Friday, it's Kids Night at the Museum from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Redwood Discovery Museum, 612 G Street in Eureka. You may drop off your 4 to 12-year-olds for interactive exhibits, science experiments, crafts and games, exploring the planetarium, playing in the water table, or jumping onto soft blocks. Find out about admission pricing by emailing info@discovery-museum.org or by calling 707-443-9694. On Saturday, February 24th, get ready to rumble as the Humboldt Roller Derby returns to KZZH 96.7 starting at 6 p.m. KZZH will broadcast all the action as the home teams go up against the Floodwater Roller Derby and Bakersfield Diamond Divas. Tune into 96.7 or stream it live at kzzh.accesshumboldt.net. Broadcast of the HRD season is kindly provided by the Speakeasy, Cafe Brio, Juan Pablo Cervantes, and the Renee Law Group. Also on Saturday, come to an evening with a Redwood legend, photographer Dave Van DeMark, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Bayside Corners, 1928 Old Arcata Road. You can meet Redwood Forest photographer Van DeMark and learn about his adventure through photos and stories. His photographs helped convince Congress to set aside and enlarge the Redwood National Park. This is a free event, but donations will be gladly accepted. Email director@urnec.org or call 707-822-6918 for more information. Finally, on Saturday, the Cal Poly Humboldt Music Department performs at 2 p.m. at the Morse Graves Museum of Art, 636 F Street in Eureka. Faculty members from the Cal Poly Humboldt Music Department perform pieces in a variety of styles, including classical, crossover genres, and chamber music. There's a very modest admission price, but it's free for HAC members, children less than 17 years old, and families with a BT card. Go to humblearts.org to find out more. On Sunday, February 25th, there will be a Humboldt Bay South Spit birding trip from 8:30 a.m. to noon at the Mike Thompson Wildlife Center, South Spit Humboldt Bay, South Jetty Road in Lolita. This is a driving trip with short walks on sand and other soft surfaces. Meet Ken Burton at the beach parking lot. Pack food if you wish to stay past noon. Email shrike3@gmail.com or go to rras.org to find out more. Also on Sunday, it's Food Not Bomb starting at 4 p.m. on the Arcata Plaza, 9th and G Streets. There will be free hot food for everyone, mostly vegan and organic, and always delicious. On Monday, February 26th, there will be 2 online home sharing info classes, the first from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and the second from 1 to 1:30 p.m. These informational Zoom sessions will go over the steps and safeguards of Area 1 Agency on Aging's matching process and the different types of home share partnerships. Email homeshare@a1aa.org for the link. You may also go to a1aa.org/homesharing or call 707-442-3763 to find out more. On Tuesday, February 27th, don't miss the International Latino Film Festival from 6 to 10:30 p.m. at the Mill Creek Cinema, 1575 Betty Court in McKinleyville. There will be 3 films related to environmental issues in Latin America. The festival speaker is Mirna Santiago, history professor and director of Women and Gender Studies at St. Mary's College. It's free, but a modest donation is suggested. Also on Tuesday, it's English Express, an online English language class for adults. Build your English language confidence in ongoing and online and in-person classes. All levels and first languages are welcome. You may join at any time, and pre-registration is not required. Go to EnglishExpressEmpowered.com or call 707-443-5021 to find out more. On Wednesday, February 28th, there will be a Humboldt Healthcare for All group meeting from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the Sanctuary, 1301 J Street in Arcata. Humboldt Healthcare for All, physicians for a national health program, meet by Zoom every 4th Wednesday. Email healthcareforallhumboldt@gmail.com for the meeting link. On Thursday, February 29th, join the Greater Trinidad Chamber of Commerce Winter Mixer from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Moonstone Beach House, 122 Moonstone Beach Road in West Haven. Mix, mingle, eat, drink, and meet the Chamber's new directors. Members and those considering joining are welcome. Find out more at moonstone-beach.com. Humboldt Area Foundation and Wild Rivers Community Foundation announced the HAF WRCF 2024 scholarship season running from January 15th through March 4th. For more information and to access the online universal application, visit scholarshipfinder.org. The deadline to apply is March 4th. The North Coast Rape Crisis Team is currently accepting volunteer applications for our training that starts February 27th. Once training is done, volunteers have the flexibility of working remotely while helping support our 24-hour support line. Call their office at 707-443-2737 if you're interested, or visit ncrct.org/volunteer. Attention employers, join the College of the Redwoods Adult Education Program for the first ever multilingual job fair in Humboldt County. Thursday, April 18th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Wharfinger Building in Eureka. If you need bilingual employees or are interested in representing your business or organization at the event, please RSVP by email to jonathan-maiulo@redwoods.edu or by phone at 707-476-4527 by March 1st. To submit your nonprofit event to the KZZH community calendar, go to kzzh.accesshumboldt.net and follow the community calendar link located near the top of the page. Your event information will be read twice a day, at noon and 5 p.m. on weekdays and at noon on the weekends. Your event information will also be shared on Access Humboldt TV's bulletin board. Access Humboldt, local voices through community media. For KZZH in Eureka, I'm Isabella Vanderheyden.
Welcome back to Franceschi Hall. We are here at halftime, almost done with halftime, 96-43 in favor of Route Force, the home team from Humboldt Roller Derby. They've been fantastic on defense and have had a big performance in the first half from Carhartt Crush as a jammer scoring. I want to thank our underwriters, the Speakeasy, Juan Pablo Cervantes, Brio Cafe, and Rennie Law Group, underwriting and keeping Humboldt tradition, the roller derby going, actually starting one as far as having the first season ever to have all their games put on the air. So we'll be thanking them throughout the night. Jealousy, what did you see? Is there any way floodwater can get back in this? I mean, they're just, the physicality, they're not up to it.
I don't know. Anything can happen in roller derby.
Anything can happen.
But it's not looking great for floodwater right now.
Anything kind of has. Now, the sides, interestingly enough, they switch benches. You do have a situation, if you have the best bench on turn 4, you're kind of closer to the jam, but because the jams all start at the jam line and start in a standing position, I don't know if that makes much of an advantage. They're going to go with Ramby Rhino to start out against Carhartt Crash, it looks like.
I think that's probably a smart move from Floodwater, given Ramby Rhino's performance in the first half.
Right, and Carhartt Crash has been unbelievable, a star.
We got Daddy.
And Carhartt Crash is going to break the, I'll tell you what, Hardcore has done a great job hanging in and now gets called for a penalty. Carhartt Crash is through. Ramby Rhino held up. Great job by the Humboldt defense. Daddy Longlegs bouncing her out. Here comes Carhartt Crash up to the pack to try to go on a scoring run. And
Carhartt Crush, she gets
knocked out. And like we kind of thought, you're going to have 3 points scored on the rush, making a 3-0 Humboldt session. But she's also going to call off the jam and not let Ramby Rhino have a chance to score at all. 99-43, Humboldt on the doorstep of triple digits.
Bambi Rhino did not look happy after all of her hard work just to finally make it to the pack and have that jam called off.
And she was working hard against that Humboldt defense. It's Carl Sparks and Hardcore, who was just a blocker, has come right back out to be a jammer. And Hardcore is the first to break through the pack.
We've seen
Wow,
Hardcore.
double sessions in a row.
She's been jamming and blocking this evening. Just a force to be reckoned with on both sides.
Coming up with some speed. What a great move.
Jump. We had an apex jump for the first time tonight where they're able to jump that corner of the track there.
Unbelievable move, a leap and a jump over the corner of the track and past 4 Humboldt blockers. Now Hardcore again breaking through and finally driven out on the far side.
The pivot there, John-Luc Ricard just pushed her out. Now she has the penalty. We have a penalty for the floodwater jammer.
So Hardcore has scored the 4 points here in the session. Carl Sparks still trying to break through. Hardcore right now, it's jammerless for floodwater.
Carl Sparks trying to take
Carl Sparks and Squeezer. Oh, Squeezer's going to take her down right here in turn number 1 in front of our radio booth. And look who breaks through. It's Hardcore scoring more. 8 points on the session. This is the best defense all night. Floodwater's playing. And here comes Hardcore for another scoring pass and gets bumped out, it looked like, but they say she stayed in. I thought Bridge of KZZH-LP had knocked her out. Carl Sparks is in a position where they can finally come up and score some points. Hardcore has scored 12. Carl Sparks just trying to get 1 for the session and will, before being knocked out by
there's Carl Sparks, and she's able to
Slamella Anderson. And look who breaks through again is Hardcore. 16-3 on this session, exactly the kind of session that Floodwater needs. 102-59. Boy, Hardcore, what a scoring session that was. And now Ramby Rhino right back out there. I think they're going to go with their 2 best, alternating them, or at least it looks like here to start the second half.
We saw spins and needles on that last play. This is her first game, and Floodwater definitely took advantage with a strategy they call goading, where you'll separate that team from the rest of their pack. Ooh. There's the jam.
Sherry Bomber breaking through first. And here comes Ramby Rhino behind her. So both of them will be coming up to the pack in a scoring chance right down here in turn 1. And big hits here by the defense of Floodwater, but Bricks, Bad Astral, and Squeezer.
You could see Cherry Bomber just desperately trying to make that call to call that jam. You have to make sure that the referees can see you calling it off. It's like a motion of tapping your hips, but you have to do pretty large arm movements so the refs get those refs' attention and actually call off the jam.
She did call off the jam at 3-0 in favor of Humboldt on that session. And now here we go with Tasmanian Devil and Tiger Bomb are the jammers. And Tiger Bomb has been wrapped up all night.
She really has. It's been a
But she's going to break through here.
Oh, not quite.
Great job by Slam Chowder cutting it off. And look at that. It's Tasmanian Devil breaking through for Route 4s. I'll tell you, Slam Chowder slammed the door on Tiger Bomb. And now Tasmanian Devil coming up for a scoring opportunity and going to take the inside and go ahead and blow through the defense of Floodwater. That's 4 points right there. And Tasmanian Devil going to give it another go. Try to get some points. 109-59. A 50-point lead again. And the defense of Floodwater can't hold Tasmanian Devil. Tasmanian Devil's going to tap out. It's going to wind up being an 8-4 session as Tiger Bomb did score.
You could see Tasmanian Devil looking towards her bench coaches, looking for that sign. Should I keep going? Should I call it? always checking in with your coaches, not just the
Now,
other
do the
teammates.
coaches make those calls from the sideline?
They definitely do. This lady right here is one of the bench coaches, and you can see
Oh.
her making the motions. To
I did not
those
know that. I
jammers.
knew I saw them looking over to her. Maybe it was the tutu that threw me off. Hardcore being bumped around, and oh, what a hit!
Her just knocked
Squeeze
her.
her, go ahead. The Carhartt crash, and that was the hit of the night. Carhartt crash
doesn't
went
look
down,
nice.
but it just seems to perturb Carhartt.
Oh,
crash.
she's out. She's got to kind of come back in behind that pack, or she'll get the penalty.
Meanwhile, Hardcore, wow, how is
Hardcore.
she staying in?
Also
And
been
she's
very
knocked
impressive
out.
tonight. Hardcore inching her way through, but brute force is just not letting her go get it at all.
These players a little tired. Hardcore and Ramby Rhino, they're just rotating them as many shifts as they can get them in to try to score some points. And Hardcore is going to come up to the Humboldt defense, a big sturdy line. Oh,
Knocked out.
Daddy long legs with a hip check, sending Hardcore out of bounds. And while all that is going on, Carhartt crash is going to break through for Humboldt. Each skater has scored 4 points. I would imagine Carhartt crash is thinking of calling this off. But Hardcore, once again, Daddy long legs with a big hit. Carhartt crash able to go through and calls off the jam. And the final point total on that winds up being 8-4 Humboldt, 121-67 Root Force over Floodwater. Floodwater from Sacramento making the trip, the Sacramento area, Rockland, Placer County, Sacramento County, and they are here. This is their top team. They've yet to be a sanctioned team. They're a B team. This is Humboldt's B team. 121-67, impressive debut for Root Force. Ramby Rhino breaking through.
On the outside of the track, maybe.
That's right, high stepping it along that line. Meanwhile, Carl Sparks is being held up by some better defense of Floodwater. Ramby Rhino initiating contact and pushing forward.
Brute force really using that tripod strategy from earlier.
I'll tell you, it's a box and one with Humboldt right now. Ramby Rhino fighting to get some forward progress, and
this is a very slow
nobody's broken.
pack,
It is a slow moving pack, but Randy Rhino breaks out.
And she has the lead jammer status.
Now, it looks like Slam Chowder was the pivot, has been thrown the panty. She's got to get that on her helmet so that she can become a jammer. Oh, huge hit over on the sideline.
For Humboldt tonight. Oh, that was
Ron Luke Picard went ahead and did a hip check and sent Randy Rhino flying. Although Ramby Rhino did score 7 points, it's 122-74. Slam Chowder did pick up 3 points as a jammer after she was thrown the panty.
I think that was the first panty pass for Brute Force tonight. We've seen that a lot with Floodwater Roller Derby, but not as much with Brute Force doing the passing at that jammer helmet.
As the jam starts, we want to remind you we're KZZH 96.7 Community Access Radio, bringing you live coverage of Humboldt Roller Derby. 123-74 Root Force over Floodwater as things seem to be gummed up here in turn one. Bad Astral and Squeezer, who've been the best defenders, knocking Cherry Bomber down. And then Tiger Bomb,
Tiger Bomb.
They're going to take a hit on the outside. Tiger Bomb. Tiger Bomb's going to need some Tiger Bomb after
feel sorry for the way that Brute Force is just pushing her out over and over again. She takes off that panty cover, desperate to try to pass it to her pivot. Trying to find that pivot. She decides not to pass. She just goes out of the pack.
And she did throw it to the pivot.
She's going to put that cover back on.
Oh, she's putting the panty back on herself. And coming up to the Humboldt line, 3 of them there, and Peaches and Scream doing the first contact there.
Number 69, Cherry
Spins
Bomber,
and needles.
ignoring her bench coach right now and not calling that jam like they are suggesting. You can see her shaking her head. No, she wants more. And she finally does call it after getting just a couple more
Jam
points.
called. Nobody scored, or at least no points indicated as of yet. 123-74. Want to thank our underwriters, the Speakeasy. They are at 11 Opera Alley in Eureka. Juan Pablo Cervantes, those ballots, postmark them by the 5th. They've got to arrive by the 12th. HumboldtGov.org elections/elections to find out information. Rennie Law Group, find more about Rennie Public Law Group and public law and the public interest. You can go to RennieLawGroup.com or call 415-848-7200.
And thank you, Pete, as well. You're thanking everyone else, but thank you.
Thanks, who?
Oh, Paul.
There we go.
I
One-
have to come up with a derby name for you.
Well, we'll think. 126-74, a derby name. Who'd have thought it?
We're here tonight. We got someone, number 1 up there, anchoring for the Floodwater Roller Derby using that same tripod
It's
strategy.
Hardcore and Carhartt Crush. Slowing down a bit, but going straight. Oh, look at Hardcore breaking through.
Hardcore playing her heart out tonight.
Carhartt Crush will also break through. But coming up on a scoring opportunity is Hardcore. What a smash by Hardcore. A lot of power in a not so large package, so to speak. And she's going to call off the jam after scoring 4 points. Tremendous hit against Spins and Needles. Spins and Needles in her first game, and that's the hit she's going to remember for the night. So 126-78.
I think
Ramby Rhino back for Floodwater and Carl Sparks. And Ramby Rhino, a spin move. Same with Carl Sparks. Boy, 2 great moves. Carl Sparks, though, has broken out. And Carl Sparks has the opportunity to come up on a scoring pass first down here in turn 1 and is going to break through. Not yet. Good job by Squeezer for Floodwater. They're actually going to knock them out. Ramby Rhino coming up to the front now, and the jam has been called off. The score remains 120. Actually, 3 points were scored by Humboldt. 129-78 in favor of Root Force.
that was a great move by Carl Sparks, using all the directions, getting spun around, using that momentum, not letting it slow her down, just using that to help push her right through the pack.
How hard is a spin move?
Well, I guess it's
Did
kind
you
of
have
relative.
one in your day? Did you have a spin move? Wow.
You have to be really
Is
comfortable.
that something you got to go practice, the spin move?
You can practice everything, right?
You gotta practice
You gotta
everything.
Everything.
How do you practice being hit?
Do you practice what?
I mean, the hitting.
Oh,
But the hitting is real.
Hitting,
Does that happen in practice?
Yeah, you just go through the line and you get hit. You try to hit every one of your teammates one at a time, trying to get that. They call it kind of it's like a J move. You kind of move your body into the J, so down and up, so you can kind of scoop your hip into them,
Wow.
get some air.
Did you ever come home for practice and think, I don't know if I want to do it
Every night.
every night?
Some Epsom salt, some Tiger Balm, some nice cream,
Right, there you go.
beers every now and again. It's not an easy sport on your body, that's for sure. These
No.
skaters are gonna be feeling it
This
tomorrow.
is the real deal.
Already on to our next jam. There's the whistle.
Cherry Bomber and Hardcore.
Hardcore pushing through, trying to give it her all. She's able to slide through the outside of the track there. She is lead jammer. Floodwater has lead jam.
So she's coming up on scoring opportunities. Oh, what a tripod by Humboldt. But Hardcore is going to break through. There was a whistle there, and I think she's being sent to the penalty box. Cherry Bomber knocked down from behind by Rosie. driven into the track. We've got penalty signals coming from all over the place.
Once the skaters get tired, it's a lot easier to get those penalties for those illegal blocks, hitting outside of the zone. Like I said, you're not allowed to just throw elbows or punch people, but there's only certain areas that you can actually block.
So Cherry Bomber is going to pass Squeezer, and Cherry Bomber on a scoring run here for Humboldt. There are so many players in the penalty box. There's only 2 players out there for Floodwater. Now they're coming back. Here comes Hardcore, who breaks through and is now in a position where she can score. 129.78. Here comes Hardcore, and breaking through. People are down, but Hardcore breaks through and passes a player in the penalty box. That's going to be 4 points.
She just
So
snuck
in
by
this
back.
session, Cherry Bomber hasn't scored, but Hardcore has scored 4 and right into the defense and breaking through again. Humboldt looking a little tired. 8-point run.
Oh,
for-
we're to the box again. That's not good for Floodwater.
No, 8-4 now as Cherry Bomber has gone ahead and scored in the run, making it 133-86.
Hardcore is the lead jammer, but she cannot call off the jam from the box.
He's calling up the jam now. 8-6 is the final tally on that session. Floodwater wins the session, but Humboldt does well to get 6 back. They were down 8-0 in that session. And so now it's 135-86.
Got another timeout, it looks like. Being
Time-
a ref isn't easy either. It's very nuanced. You really have to pay attention to every little detail.
Well, there's so many reps. You've got 2 on the outside pack, 2 on the inside pack, 2 on the jammers, and a lead referee.
Yep, and they all have that specific job, what they're paying attention to, trying to catch every little illegal move on the track.
Now, is there an illegal move on every play, you think?
Maybe not every play, but definitely a lot of cutting the track that you might not notice if you like kind of just step out slightly. A lot of illegal hits, like the most common is probably hitting the back of your opponent. You're not allowed to do that. You're not
We
allowed
saw
to
that down here with Rosie and
Yes,
turn
exactly.
1. Now, but I mean, elbows and hips are being used. There's hip checks and elbow checks all the time.
They are. You're not supposed to use your elbow to actually like hit someone, but you can grab onto your players. Like those same rules don't apply. It's more of a safety, thinking about the safety of the players. So it makes sense. You're not allowed to hit the head, their back, their neck.
Players do wear helmets, knee pads, elbow pads, and mouth guards.
That's right.
So that's the protective equipment that players are wearing.
You see they get jostled around quite a bit, though. A lot of skaters like to duct tape their pads on there, make sure they're nice and tight. You'll see skaters adjusting their pads even just during skating around. It's actually what happened to me when I broke my knee. I got hit, my knee pad slid down, I got hit again, and then landed without any padding.
Oh. On this track here or a visiting track?
That was on a visiting track away game in San Jose, actually.
My goodness. So how, I mean, you had the injury. I mean, you had to drive all the way home, or did you get it?
I
taken
thought
care
it was
of
just
down
a
there?
bruise. You know, you're just so used to getting beat up and that adrenaline and everything. I kept playing the rest of the game and didn't even notice until I got home.
So tell me, I mean, when Humboldt, say they went down for a game, like you said in San Jose, are you staying the night somewhere, or you're not driving back after?
Typically, you'll stay the night, you know, try to make a trip of it. Depending on where the game is and
And do the
what your
players,
commitments are like.
go ahead and absorb the cost of staying somewhere?
I don't know what their policy is right now, but all of the players do pay to play roller derby. They are not paid for playing the game. They have to pay dues monthly to even have the privilege of playing on the track. So they're not making anything from this. Here's the next jam.
True love of the game, and driven out is Tasmanian Devil, giving them a look in this game. They're going to play in the next game for the Floodwater. Their jammers in the penalty box, Hardcore. And Tasmanian Devil breaking through and showing some scoring ability by just busting through and knocking down. Here comes Hardcore. Oh, into the middle of 4 Humboldt defenders who just wrapped around her over in turn 2. Meanwhile, Tasmanian Devil still pushing through. They have scored 8 unanswered in the session, and now they're going to call off the jam after 8-0. It's 147-88, a real tough position there for Floodwater because they started with their jammer in the penalty box.
Yeah, and you could see Hardcore, the frustration again on her face. She was able to get out of the box, make it her way up to the pack again, and then having brute force call it before she's able to score any points.
So it's Ramby Rhino for the Floodwater. Yet to see who it is for Humboldt. It looks like Carhartt Crash. Well, I can tell by the way Carhartt Crash is crashing through the line.
That's Carhartt
Bad
Crash.
Astral is trying to hold it. No one can hold it.
She's lead jammer.
Slamella Anderson, no
And
No
Randy Rhino
contest.
Right behind her, though.
Here
About
comes
half of
Carhartt Crash and calls off the jam, I think just after 2 points scored.
She calls it looking meow, our official, right in the eye, making sure that she sees that loud and clear.
Because Ramby Rhino had broken through, was coming up the side, but Carhartt Crash using the strategy, just not letting Ramby Rhino have a chance to score any points. And
Really great awareness.
2-0 on that exchange. So 149-88, the jam's being set up again. You're here on KZZH Radio, broadcasting the season, the 2024 season for Humboldt Roller Derby. Hardcore breaks through for the Floodwater team and is coming up on a scoring opportunity. Humboldt 4 strong, and she breaks through.
Hardcore
So that's
scoring all
4
those
points. She's had a great half.
You can see she's been waiting for this after the frustration of the last jam. She's been waiting for the opportunity to finally score some points.
Once again, taking 4-on-4 and is going to call off the jam because Carl Sparks had finally moved up into a position where they had the opportunity to score, but by calling it off, Hardcore wins the session 6-0, and it's now 149-94 with 11:25 to go here at Franceschi Hall in the season opener for Root Force.
Lots of action in this first game. You know, the B team doesn't play like it. They play just as hard as the A team, and we'll see a lot of these players play again in our second game.
Tiger Bomb was knocked out of bounds and has to come back. Meanwhile, Cherry Bomber breaks through, meaning she will have a chance to score. But with 3 Floodwaters in the box, she's only got to get past 2 to rack up 4 points, and she goes out. They don't call it. And I think Cherry Bomber got away with something there. Now she's driven out by Bad Astral.
It looks like they missed that cutting the track from Cherry Bomber, but she is the lead jammer. And she still has this power jam opportunity, being the only jammer on the track.
4
And
points
she calls it.
scored. And Slamella Anderson pushes Scorn Trooper into Cherry Bomber, which causes Cherry Bomber to go out of bounds, but also call off the jam. 155-94.
Looks like Floodwater is going to try putting Ramby Rhino back out there. She's been so successful for Floodwater tonight, and boy, did they need it right now.
And this is a great matchup, too, because I believe it's going to be Ramby Rhino and
Carl Sparks.
Carhartt Crush.
Oh, Carhartt Crush. There she
That's who I thought. And Carhartt Crush breaks through. Carhartt Crush is on a scoring drive. Ramby Rhino trying to get through. Carhartt Crush coming up from behind. They will have a chance to score. Ramby Rhino is yet to break through the pack. And Carhartt Crush.
Ramby Rhino passes that panty to her pivot. So it looks like number 888, Pixie Dust, is now the jammer.
There we go. Ramby Rhino
Ramby.
all caught up through the panty. And not going to get the chance to try to get the pivot up to the scoring play because Carhartt Crush calls off the jam. 3-0 in the section that time. 158-94 in favor of Root Force, and they'll set up for another jam.
Got Daddy Longlegs on the track. Been a really great blocker for Root Force tonight. Teams lined up.
Teams lined up for the jam, and it's hardcore. And who is it? Looks like maybe Carl Sparks for, and it is Carl Sparks
There's
for
Carl Sparks.
Root Force breaking through. Carl Sparks straight ahead, taking a page out of Carhartt Crush's book. And now coming up on an opportunity to score and just blowing by
Hardcore
someone.
quick.
And Hardcore on the inside and calling off the jam was Carl Sparks. Each jammer is going to score 2 points, 160-96. Much better half for Floodwater. They had 24 points at the half. So
They're starting to find their groove, understand the Humboldt strategy and trying to work out those kinks. Sometimes it takes the half to try to figure out the game.
especially the first half of the year.
That's right. I don't know if Floodwater's played any games, but this is Humboldt Roller
This is their
Derby
opening game.
It is their opening game.
This
All
is
right.
their opening game.
You've done your research, Paul.
That's you hang around Franceschi Hall long enough. You'll learn a lot. Tiger Bomb breaks loose. We haven't said that often tonight.
Is the lead jammer for the
It's
first
Tiger
time
Bomb
tonight.
and Cherry Bomber. Tiger Bomb. Oh,
Rough
hard
evening
hit there
for
by Bridge of KZZH-LP.
How's it doing?
Cherry Bomber up and calling off the jam is Tiger Bomb. They scored, Tiger Bomb scored two. It was a 2-1 session, 160-198.
Oh, 2-2.
Oh, they're going to call it a 2-2 session.
Tiger Bomb not able to keep Root Force from getting those points. That importance of the awareness of the jammer. She could have called it just a little bit earlier. She would have gotten those 2 points unanswered.
That's interesting where the jammers have to be aware of that. I mean, there must be a point where the jammer feels, I just can't break through this anymore. Great matchup here. Carhartt Crush and Ramby Rhino. And Ramby Rhino trying everything. Meanwhile, Carhartt Crush doesn't mess around with that on the outside kind of stuff. Carhartt Crush goes straight up the middle, and they are in a scoring position now. It is Squeezer, who's been a good defender for Floodwater, and she just gets past. Carhartt Crush knocked out of bounds. Meanwhile, Ramby Rhino is scoring.
Ramby Rhino
Carhartt Crush
snuck some
calls
points
off
in there.
the jam, and it's going to be a 3-1 point total in favor of Floodwater. Make that 4-1, and for Floodwater, make that triple digits. 163-102 with 5:42 remaining in our first game of the doubleheader tonight. Root Force 163, Floodwater 102. Hardcore
And trying to break
it's
through.
Carl Sparks. I'll tell you what, Carl Sparks has been a fantastic number 2, and he's going to call off the jam right there. Burn some clock and
was right on her tail. No,
right,
no
not
points
let her
here.
score.
No
Doesn't
points
seem
here.
fair.
If I can't have points, no one can.
There you go. Take your ball and go home.
Smart call from the lead jammer. Sometimes it's best to just call it before the other team can score any points. Like you saw in the last jam, Root Force giving up those points, even though they were in the lead jammer position. We didn't want to see that happen again.
There you go. So working on strategy that will be key for the entire season right here in game 1. I mean, they've got to be happy with the performance right here in game 1, right?
It's sure I would be happy if I was in their position tonight. Ramby Rhino trying to inch her way around the outside.
Ramby Rhino is going to break free. And now it's going to be in a scoring position. And this is Cherry Bomber. Cherry Bomber is now out on the loose. Here comes Ramby Rhino to score. Oh, knocked out.
Oh, that's definitely a track cut. I don't think the officials caught it, but
Torque and Beans. Well, driven out by Torque and Beans. And Cherry Bomber along that outside, too.
Cherry Bomber, you gonna call?
And the jam is called off. It's going to be won by Floodwater 4-3 that time.
60-point difference.
60 points, 166 to 106.
Only 4 minutes into the second half here.
No, 4 minutes left.
Oh yeah, it's counting down.
There you go. Nothing gets past my color broadcaster.
I'm just testing you, Paul.
You're doing great. Here we go. Lining up for the next jam.
Time does fly when you're watching Derby, though. I'll tell you
It
that.
does. Trevanian Devil.
Tasmanian Devil followed by
Fantastic show here in the second half.
only about 10
Has
feet
been a
behind.
different jammer. And now coming up and a quick spin move, picked up 2 points and immediately didn't finish the spin while skating backwards, looking at the coach, calling off the jam, keeping the Floodwater team from any scoring opportunity.
Oh,
And it's 168, 106, 246 to go.
Hardcore was really coming in quick. I thought she might be able to sneak a couple points in, but unsuccessful for that last jam.
Tiger Bomb and Carhartt Crush. This has been a matchup that has been the key to this game. This is why the lead is so large, because anytime these two jammers are mashed up, Carhartt Crush is just dominated.
Oh, Tiger Bomb. That look on her face, just coming across every single blocker, trying her hardest to get out of there, but unsuccessfully.
The look on Tiger Bomb's face is one thing. She is going to see brute force blockers in her sleep. That is just what's going to happen tonight. KZZH Radio 96.7 live broadcast of Humboldt Roller Derby. We're here in game one, Root Force versus Floodwater. And look at that, Tiger Bomb scoring some points on a 4-0 run, and it's going to call the rush. Why? That was 4 points. Go for some more.
You think
Once-
she would. She was looking at her coach. The coaches must see something we didn't see.
Well, maybe working on things. There were 4 points scored by Root Force. 172, 110. Has anybody ever got 200 points?
Absolutely.
You think? Yeah. That's impressive.
I like Tiger Bomb, spelled T-H-A-I, Tiger.
We want to thank our underwriters of Speakeasy, New Orleans inspired custom built bar with craft cocktails and local fresh ingredients, and Opera Alley, 411 Opera Alley in Eureka. Juan Pablo Cervantes. Hey, Carl Sparks breaking through. Can't even get the underwriters in with these Root
Wasted no
Force
time.
players breaking through. Hardcore is also broken through. And let's see how fast Humboldt will go before they call off the jam. Carl Sparks immediately slams into the line, and Carl calls off the jam. Is going to be credited with 2 points. Nothing for Floodwater. Anyway, Juan Pablo Cervantes, all valid vote by mail ballots are processed in every election in California. Remember that. Postmarked by March 5th. They got to arrive by the election office by March 12th. And the Rennie Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing law in the public interest. 174, 110. We are
Once again trying to sneak by on the
under a minute. Ramby
doesn't.
Rhino breaks loose. Does she have one more rush in her?
Cherry
We'll
Bomber.
see.
Cherry Bomber just keeps getting knocked out of that inside line, having to start all over again.
Ramby Rhino knocked out and trying to score back some more. Breaking through.
Tiptoeing. Just
Last
using
up
those-
was Slam Chowder, and through turn one. That may be the last points that wind up being scored in this game.
She's really
Cherry
very
Bomber
good.
trying to look to throw away the panty. Ramby Rhino jumps over the corner.
You can see Floodwater trying to keep Brute Force from being able to pass that panty, trying to keep their blockers separate so they're not able to pass that on.
And the jam continues. That's 12 points for Ramby Rhino.
Ramby Rhino definitely wants to take advantage of this position. I don't even know where the helmet panty is right now for the jammer.
Oh, they were holding on to it. A 16-0 run. Ramby Rhino.
All right, it looks like they were finally, Bridge of KZZH finally got that helmet panty and is now the jammer for Route Force. They're not.
Humboldt is mixed up. Ramby Rhino is having one of the great runs of the night, a 20-point run.
Absolutely.
There's 22 seconds to go. Big smile on her face as she is scoring points at will. And finally gets knocked out by Cherry Bonger.
Smile on her face.
And that's the game. 174 to 131. A 21-0 session for Ramby Rhino and Floodwater. But Humboldt, that built that big lead, wins the game by 43 points. 174 to 131. What a start for Route Force. Score closer really than the game was because their defense was outstanding in the first half. They gave up over 100 points in the second half.
Absolutely. I thought they might come back. Floodwater was really pushing hard, especially Ramby Rhino. That last jam of the night really pulled it together for me. She got knocked down flat on her back, giant smile on her face, and still calling off that jam.
Unbelievable. The fans are coming out to shake hands with both teams. A great scene here from Franceschi Hall.
When everyone gets their high five.
174, 131. A great start for Route Force. The B Squad wins their first game, beating Floodwater in their first match. A long drive from Sacramento. A very good second half with Floodwater. They can have that to at least build on.
Everyone getting their high fives right now. You crowd super into it. None of this is possible without an audience.
Now, you've been to other halls in the league. Is Franceschi Hall the most spirited place?
I would say so. I might be a little biased as a former Humboldt Roller Derby skater, but I think we have the absolute best spectators in the game.
Well, there you go.
Look at them all of our audience running up to high five those skaters. The skaters all big smiles on their faces. They're exhausted. They've been put through the ringer. They're still up there smiling and cheering and, you know, going out there to support the community that supports them. Given the opportunity now, all lined up for pictures. We have Matt Villar here.
Does that happen after every match, the pictures and the...
Yeah, they usually do a group photo, a little memento of the game.
Sportsmanship is outstanding. The next game, they're getting ready for that now.
Wow, that was an exciting first game here tonight, and we haven't even gotten to our A teams, our sanctioned games, the ones that really count for the rankings. Can't wait to see what the Redwood Rollers and Bakersfield Diamond Divas have for us tonight.
Well, over 300 points scored in that one, so a very exciting bout. Lots of great play by the Jammers. Carhartt Crush was extraordinary. Had a great game, had to be the MVP of that match. And I'll tell you what, there was some great blocking by Humboldt, especially Slam Chowder did some great job. Braun, Luke Picard, there was some wonderful play by Humboldt there. The next bout is going to feature the numbers 31 and 35 teams in the Western Regionals. That's the number 31 Humboldt Roller Derby Redwood Rollers against Bakersfield Diamond Divas. So that's going to be coming up next.
The teams are warming up, doing their on-skate warm-up now. Diamond Divas on the track.
And the Diamond Divas are a big club, and they are fast. So we're going from the B game to the A game, and we're going to see more intensity here in game two. We're going to bring Nate in for the halftime, and we're going to pick it up before the start of game two. Game two is going to be fantastic. It is a sanctioned bout between two of the top teams in the Western region, the Humboldt Roller Derby Redwood Rollers and the Bakersfield Diamond Divas. This is Paul Brassu with my color commentator, Chelsea, for KZZH Radio 96.7, KZZH Radio, Community Access Radio, and your broadcaster for live roller derby this year. If your business would like to become an underwriter for Humboldt Roller Derby broadcast, connect with us at info@accesshumboldt.net or 777-443-9352 extension 101 to find out more. This is exciting. This is great. This is community. This is community access. So we want to thank you for your support for Humboldt Roller Derby and KZZH.
Rock me.
Welcome back to game 2 of the doubleheader tonight, and I can already tell from the warm-ups this is going to be significantly more intense. This is a sanctioned bout. You have to have sanctioned referees. This is the kind of bout that counts exclusively for your both Western regional rankings and world rankings. That's right, Humboldt County, the Redwood Rollers have a world ranking of 104 of over 500 teams in the world, and they come into this match the 31st team rated in the preseason polls in the Western region against Bakersfield, the Diamond Divas, who are the 35th team. So these teams should be pretty evenly matched. I'll tell you one thing, they may be evenly matched, but the Bakersfield team is gigantic. They are huge, and this has the potential to be a hard-hitting bout. Watching both teams warm up, the size and the speed from the B game to the A game is extraordinary. Like many of you that have gone to events that are junior varsity to varsity, it's that kind of difference. So KZZH Radio 96.7, we're going to bring you the entire season of Humboldt Radio from Humboldt Roller Derby on the radio from now until November. Our next bout from Franceschi Hall will be March 30th. Now, the team will play on the road. KZZH will not cover them on the road, but we will be doing the home bouts, the double headers each night, following Root Force and then the Redwood Rollers as a skate in their double headers. So this one, the excitement is here. The crowd is packed. I've talked to people from the other roller derby associations. Franceschi Hall is known as a special place. High energy crowd. You got a band, the Dirty Derby Blowhard Band, and it is a wild and fun scene out here. In this game, the Diamond Divas will be wearing the white jerseys with the big diamond emblazoned on them, and Divas in the middle. And Humboldt, the Redwood Rollers, will be wearing a black jersey with red trim. You do have some players. Bianca Swagger, Daddy Longlegs, Slam Chowder, Tasmanian Devil. And I also did see Ron Luke Picard, who played in the B game and will be part of the 15 skaters that are suited for this game. Redwood Rollers and Bakersfield. Long way to come, Bakersfield, up Highway 99 and I-5 and over 299 to play Humboldt in this match. As we pointed out before when I was talking with Chelsea, teams like to come up and play the Humboldt Roller Derby team. And so we're going to get some quality opponents coming up, and one so evenly matched. Remember, these are preseason polls. These are the first games of the year between these two teams. Want to talk about our underwriters, the Speakeasy, support for Humboldt Roller Derby on KZZH is helped along by our underwriters, by the Speakeasy, a New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar, seasonal craft cocktails, local fresh ingredients, live jazz and blues music. Open 7 days a week from 4 to 11. They're at 11 Opera Alley in Eureka. Juan Pablo Cervantes support. They would like to remind you that the vote by mail ballots are processed in every election in California. They must be postmarked by the 5th and arrive by the 12th. We're also helped out by Rennie Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law and public interest. Find out more by going to renniepubliclawgroup.com or by calling 415-848-7200. And hey, listen, KZZH is listener-supported community radio at 96.7 FM. We need your help to sustain and improve our service to the community. It doesn't get any more community than this. This is a great night in the community. And you know what, Chelsea? I doubt that there's any scene in Humboldt County that's more high energy than Franceschi Hall for the roller derby. This is fantastic.
This is amazing. The crowd is awesome. It might be hard to hear us sometimes because the crowd is going crazy, and we love that.
The crowd literally does go crazy, and I'm not so sure the crowd isn't crazy, but those are two different things. Consider becoming a patron with a one-time donation of $20. Become a sustaining member for as little as $5 a month. Find out at patron.com, KZZH_community radio. So they're introducing the Diamond Divas right now.
I want to
Which
say
is very nice and quaint.
nice and quaint.
Yes, but not like when they introduce the home team and they circle the entire track and skate around and wave. It's really a production. I like it.
It's true. They are a little more conserved here. You know, when I started Derby, we had this really an intense warm up when they were calling our names. We would all squat down, jump up, keep circling the track, and it took a lot of energy. And I think they realized, let's save the energy for the game, not just for the announcing of our names.
And what were you saying before I
wanted to say thank you to you for being here and to KZZH 96.7. Not every league has the privilege of being able to give our listeners, the people that aren't able to be here, the opportunity to still experience some of this Derby magic.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. One nice thing about having it on the radio is it's not an easy place to find a seat.
That's true.
On a Saturday night in Humboldt County. Remember, our next home bout is going to be March 30th. And Chelsea and I will be on the air on March 30th. And KZZH will be here, but you may need to listen to it on the radio because these games are indeed packed.
They sure are. I wouldn't want to be finding a parking spot right now. And there are some people that come later for whatever reason, just to catch that second game, whether they have to work or have other commitments. So you see people coming in still.
And now here comes the home team being introduced. And it started out with Chakra Punch and Clover Kill. And what they're doing is lining up around the track right in front of us here in turn one. That's Gnome Record. That was the former color broadcaster for KZZH. First broadcast way back in 2020. Gnome Record did a great job as our color broadcaster that night. Although Chelsea is filled right in and is a natural, the 2015 MVP blocker of the year.
Don't ever forget.
We'll never forget. Daddy Longlegs introduced. He's playing 2 games tonight.
Brought into the core, just announced longtime skater. Jean-Luc Picard, we saw her in the first game earlier.
Played great, a great defender.
You can see why they have her playing with the A team as well. You got to think though.
Did you ever do that? Play with both teams in a night?
I have. It's exhausting, I'll tell you. You leave it all out on the track. You think only one game at a time, but you got to save some for the next game when you're playing with a WIFTA sanctioned game. This is the one that counts towards our rankings.
Now, are there players that prefer to go 2 games a night?
I think everybody wants that skate time. That's what we're here for. That's why we go to the practices. So you do want that, but it's got to be really hard on your body for these skaters after what they've been put through the first game. Floodwater did not make it easy.
When is it decided who's going to be on the A team?
That's the coaching staff, and they do that probably a week or 2 before the game. You really have to earn your place on the team at every practice. You have to meet attendance requirements. You have to meet volunteer requirements even to be on the team. You have to be in some part of a committee for Humboldt Roller Derby and volunteer your time in different places. I did PR. I guess that's how I ended up on the radio with you.
So that's fascinating. It's not only your performance in practice, but it's also your performance is the community service that you do for the Humboldt Roller Derby.
Everything about Humboldt Roller Derby is about the community. It's them giving their time. Our skaters are volunteers. They're volunteering their time to be here. They're paying dues to help with the cost of the rental here. They're volunteering for all those different committees, like the PR committee. Skaters come and clean the track. They do everything.
So Cloverkill and RBF for the Divas, Cloverkill for Redwood Rollers are the Jammers. Interesting defensive lineup already by the Diamond Divas. They are completely separated from the Jammers and are waiting, and now they rush. Oh my.
This is
and it is quite a pileup, and then breaking out is RBF.
Something worked for those Diamond Divas. They're able to get lead jam right off the bat. That took no time at all.
They're going to go right into it. And RBF, hitting hard right down here in turn 1. But she's going to score 4 points.
Cloverkill finally getting out of the pack, putting some pressure on the Diamond Divas.
Here comes RBF again. Hard hit again. And she's going to call off the jam as she ran into Maud Behavior, a captain here on the club, and Rotten Tula Core. How about that? She did wind up scoring 5. Humboldt did get 1 for the first time tonight in either match. Humboldt Roller Derby behind. And these Bakersfield blockers, my goodness, they are big. This is a big, strong team. And here we go. They rush again.
That is an interesting strategy for the blockers. It worked out the first jam. Let's see if it's successful again.
Smashing up and breaking, and it's RBF again.
Another lead jam for Diamond Divas.
Kate's Bush is trying to break through and looks like she wants to throw the panty, but RBF is going to score 4 more. It's 9-1 Bakersfield. And here she comes for another scoring pass.
Oh my gosh.
And she's knocked to the ground. Knocked to the ground in turn one. Case Bush is finally out. It looks like there's a penalty being called. No, the jam is being called off.
Jam was called off. Yeah, the Redwood Rollers, they were able to put together that wall finally, forcing that call off for the Diamond Divas. But they did score 4 points, Diamond Divas, on that last jam.
So the Diamond Divas off to a 9-1 start.
This time it looks like Redwood Rollers are adjusting their blocking strategy, lining up at the pivot line with the Diamond Divas this time. Trying to throw off the Diamond Divas, it looks like. We got Chakra jamming for the Redwood Rollers, trying to push her way
Chakra
through.
punch.
Chakra punch.
Not look like she's knocked out. Running into number 40, that's Baby Calm. When Chakra punches through for the first time tonight, the Redwood Rollers have a lead jammer. And oh, hard hit, my goodness. Ash drops Chakra punch, but she breaks through on the inside. What a great move.
Chakra
So
punch.
it's 9. The jammer for Bakersfield has not been able to get out. Mount Crushmore. And Chakra
really having a
punch.
difficult time there.
Yes. Finally able to break through. And Chakra punch pushing hard.
Number 100 trying to push her way through the 3 blockers.
Here it comes. Oh, my goodness gracious. Mount Crushmore earning their name. Whistles being blown. And the jam is called off. And let's look and see. 3.
That was interesting. We had blockers skating back to their bench before the jam was even called off.
7-0 in favor of Humboldt on that, which makes it 9-8. Boy, if it's going to be like this is very intense.
Well, if the ratings show us anything, 31 to 35, WIFTA standing, Humboldt Roller Derby a little bit higher ranked, but very, very close.
Oh, Jordan nailing Gnome Wrecker, my old partner, but Gnome Wrecker up and pushing forward.
Gnome
Wrecker straight ahead. Gnome Wrecker breaks through. Wow, there was some contact there. Gnome Wrecker is coming around and like a wrecking ball headed towards that Bakersfield line and pushed out there by Jordan. She returns and tries to get the space where she left. Meanwhile, Mount Crushmore, who is a hard hitter too, trying to push ahead. That's Daddy Longlegs tied up with her at before corner 3. And there is some serious stalling going on here.
You can see with the more skilled teams or the A team, they try to slow down the game a lot more than the earlier game we saw.
Why is that?
It's a lot easier for the jammers to get through when the packs are moving fast. They get that momentum. They can find those holes. When the packs are at a standstill, those walls are almost impenetrable. And of course, they can't come through and just push on the back of a skater, or that would be a penalty.
So it looks like Mount Crushmore has come through and is in a scoring opportunity, and the jam is called off. 2 points for Humboldt, and Humboldt, the Redwood Rollers, are going to take the lead 10-9.
Not without penalty, though. They do have a blocker in the penalty box to start this next jam now. So a little bit of an advantage for the Diamond Divas. Let's see if they can.
This time the Diamond Divas don't take a deep drop, and they're up on the jam line.
Constantly adjusting their strategy to see what's going to work.
RBF back in as the jammer, and RBF is going to make a nifty move along the side, and now they are in the scoring.
She was able to push right through, tiptoe along that line. Humboldt Roller Derby still down a blocker. She is standing now, though, so they're almost going to have their full.
RBF pushed out there by Braun-Luc Picard. Meanwhile, Tasmanian Devil, who played the first game for Root Force, is in there trying to push forward.
They're using that tripod strategy we saw earlier, the Diamond Divas, and it's really working.
Actually, the panty was dropped, and slipping by is Maniac.
Maniac, number 4, able to get that helmet cover, coming up on the Redwood Rollers wall. Not being able to get through. She's trying to sneak her way through, and she calls
13 to
it.
10, and they're going to call the jam. And I'll tell you what, this is some pushing and some hitting. And these 2-minute jams, these players get exhausted.
You could see those rollers high-fiving after that block, forcing the call off, not allowing the Diamond Divas to score any more points than they already had for this jam. Diamond Divas were able to score, it looks like 4 points on that last jam. Redwood Rollers got nothing.
Everything amps up for the second game of the doubleheader. The referees are sanctioned referees for sanctioned bouts. So the head rep is Missy Elliott. The inside pack is Wicked Lizard. Mialatov is a jam rep. Quake and Bake is a jam rep. Megalodonna is an outside pack rep, and Mr. Bad is an outside pack rep. And these are sanctioned referees for bout number 2.
These refs, they don't just walk onto the track here. They have to pass their skills training test. They have to do a lot of testing and training before they're able to officiate a game like this.
Very interesting here in this first 8 minutes of the game, how they've started with their blockers in different positions.
We can see them adapting to the other team's strategy in real time, constantly trying to rethink their strategy.
It's all about getting to the jammer and getting on that jammer. And breaking through is Cloverkill. It's Cloverkill versus RPF in this matchup of jammers. And Cloverkill has broken through. And Cloverkill dumped on the inside. Baby Kong for Bakersfield. Cloverkill goes back to a spot to try to break through again. Meanwhile, Humboldt doing a great job on RBF.
Yeah, RBF not even able to make it up an inch. They are at a standstill once again. Showing experience of the skaters.
You can really see the strategy you talked about of how them slowing it down.
Makes it so much harder on those jammers. RBF, she's still
knocked out by Ash. Humboldt did score 4 points, though. It's 14-13.
RBF still struggling, trying to get past those blockers from the Redwood Rollers, unable to make any progress. They're just recycling those blockers back in the waterfall method, just keep sending people back, hitting her over and over again.
Explain the water flow method.
So waterfall is when you have 2 blockers kind of switching positions, almost like a hurricane. They keep twirling back and forth, switching places, just one hit after another, being relentless to these jammers. And you can see it on the face of the Diamond Divas jammer right now.
Boy, the Diamond Divas jammer right now, RBF has made no progress whatsoever. I mean, none.
She was doing
still around the jam line. Cloverkill has broken through and can score points. Baby Kong is going to run her out on the outside of the track, and Cloverkill has to go back. And are they calling a foul on Cloverkill now? That means power jam for the Diamond Divas, but RBF can't get out, and they simply call off the jam. She never left the original jam line.
She never did. She didn't make it 10 feet on the track there. Great job with the Redwood Rollers blocking on that play.
Just unbelievable. Humboldt actually wound up scoring 8 points. The Redwood Rollers ahead now 18-13. And we saw all those breakaways in the first game. It is nothing like this here. And here come the Divas. And just as I say that, Maniac does. It was a great screen there by number 23, Jordan. And they set it up again, and she's going to do it again. Oh, my goodness. You're going to take out like a bowling ball. Pins all over. But Maniac is breaking loose.
Ron Luke Picard trying to isolate some of those Diamond Divas blockers, keeping them from being able to block our jammer on the Redwood rollers. Oh, she was trying to sneak by, but Cloverkill.
See, that time as Maniac came through, they weren't blocking as well in front of her, and she was able to be easily defensed by Humboldt. She's caught up now. Great job by Destroyer, kind of anchoring that defense and keeping Maniac from breaking through. Braun Luke Picard and Slam Chowder, as well as Rotten Tulacor.
See Maniac just struggling back there, not making any progress forward, just trying to find any inch she can. But this wall is rock solid. All 4 blockers. There's no way.
Well, Cloverkill finally passed some. Can Cloverkill make some ground? And it looks like Cloverkill may break out. They're going to call the jam off. My goodness. That was intense. This is just grinding. 6 points that time for the Diamond Divas. They now lead 19-18. And it is very apparent that this is a very different game.
Yes, absolutely. The experience really comes into play here. Bigger hits, slower moving packs. And these jammers are really struggling on both sides. I thought one of those blockers that fell down was going to hit our table over here. We're right on the edge of the action.
We are close down in turn 1. And I'll tell you, most of the action in this game has been at the jam line. So it's been right in front of us. It's just a swarm. And you make me look. Oh, Kate's Bush gets out. Survives a hit by Rainbow Pooh. And now she's coming around for the scoring opportunity. And it's Bush and Pooh.
Bush and Pooh gets hit really hard.
And that's just a matchup nobody wants to see. And incredible. The contact at the line. Rainbow Bush not able to score, or Kate's Bush, I'm sorry.
Kate's Bush.
Unable to score. At the time, she had broken free and was in a position where she could score, but there was just nothing happening.
Another smart play with the Diamond Divas, though. Once Kate Bush got pushed out of bounds, she has to come in behind the pack. So you'll see those blockers running back to make her go as far backwards as she possibly can.
Big line out here now. Scarlet Vixen, Baby Kong, Ash, and Slammin' Shay. That's a strong line for Bakersfield. Meanwhile, Humboldt, Braun Luke Picard, Rotten Tulacor, and they got away. Slam Chowder.
Mount Crushmore able
and
to
Maud Behavior. So Chakra Punch breaks loose.
Diamond Divas, they got the lead jam position right now, and they call it before Chakra Punch is able to get any of those points.
So that's going to make it 23-21 in favor of Bakersfield. These scores bounce back and forth. We're having lead changes virtually every jam ride.
Super close game, 21-23. It doesn't get much closer than that.
Do you remember games like this?
Oh, man, it's all a blur right now. One of my old skaters, though, Sugar Crush up there fixing the tape on the track. That gets a little messed up because you can imagine.
So Maniac breaks loose, one of the quicker escapes we've seen tonight. And pounding away is Gnome Wrecker.
See, Gnome Wrecker's having to go way back there.
And there's 4 points right there for Maniac.
Meanwhile, the Humboldt rollers were pushed all the way back towards the jammer line once again.
Maniac with a nice spin move to the inside. And for this game tonight, this is a big scoring run. She's already put 8 points, I believe, on the board.
Stonebrecker having a tough time, having to go all the way back behind that pack again. You can see those blockers using that same strategy. Really smart players.
And Bakersfield really comes and gets them.
Yes, they do.
And I'll tell you what,
There's Maniac.
Jordan, number 23, is one of the best offensive blockers, and she takes it right in the eye and smash my dome record. And she's going to take down Maud Behavior just because she's feeling that way.
Mod Behavior, the team captain. Maniac able to sneak by on the outside lane and calls the jam.
Maniac calls the jam, but Maniac winds up scoring 16 points for Humboldt, and this is the largest lead of the game. Some distance here, 39-21 in favor of Bakersfield. Bakersfield, the road team, the number 35th ranked team. Humboldt, the number 31st ranked team. And it's Bakersfield off to a good start, and Bakersfield with this very aggressive lineup where they start by rushing the jam line.
Yes, skating like backwards on the track, trying to get to the jammer, using that force. Who do we have jamming now? Looks like the roller. Nope. There's a penalty.
Oh, they're going to call a penalty on Tasmanian Devil. So the power jam now for Bakersfield. And
got a strong.
trying to get through is RBF. Rotten to LaCour and Slam Chowder. Ow! That's Braun Luke Picard doing her best. And Rotten to LaCour and Slam Chowder have caught back up, and they're able to form the tripod.
They really have to be careful, though. They're on the edge of that boundary. They cannot break the pack. They can't go out more than 20 feet in front of the other skaters. So you'll see Jess Stroyer there. It doesn't look like she's doing much, but she's bridging the gap between the two teams to avoid that penalty.
RBF is broken free. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's Tasmanian Devil and RBF in a tremendous hit. Tasmanian Devil had just come out of the penalty box, and she was slammed by RBF.
Jammer on jammer action there. Tasmanian Devil really.
This is starting to ratchet up a bit here down here in turn one as they are pushing and shoving here in Franceschi Hall. My goodness.
Just attacking all sides of Tasmanian Devil right now. She's able to get through on the outside.
Tasmanian Devil does break through some points for Humboldt.
So, of course, the Diamond Divas called it as soon as Tasmanian Devil is out of that pack, not allowing her to score any points.
There you go. She had just broken through the first time. Boy, it had taken so long. I thought she was on a scoring pass, but I was wrong. Scoring the 2 points, RBF for Diamond Divas. And this is a 20-point lead.
You can see why we have so many refs with everything that you have to pay attention to, all of the individual skaters, all of the rules. And, of course, we have our dirty derby blowhards playing in the background.
Right, we need some energy.
I see lots of energy in the crowd tonight.
11:56 to go here on KZZH Radio. 11:56 to go first half. But it is obvious that the Diamond Divas have come to play, and they have presented a very stiff challenge. Maniac going on that 16-0 run. That's the difference in the game right now.
Really exciting. Really exciting first part of this first half of our second game.
What kind of wake-up call is it to have the first game of the season be this physical?
I think the Redwood Rollers and the Diamond Divas came here to play tonight. They really want to up their rankings. They both want it. It's going to just come down to who can have the most endurance during this game.
Tell me about technique. That's interesting to me.
They're still doing this timeout. The technique, it looks like now they've been still using those basics, the anchoring skills. Diamond Divas are doing it now. You can see both teams using that kind of anchor technique, staring the jammer right
and
in
the anchor
eye.
technique that Chelsea is talking about is all four blockers moving. Now, in the anchor, is that also what you say, like the water flow? I mean, they're moving.
Skating backwards and kind of using her body to hold the other blockers, trying to give them that pressure so they're harder to move.
Okay, Mount Crushmore is on a scoring pass. She was able to break loose and completely held up by the anchor technique that's out there right now is Daddy Longlegs
Bianca
and
Swagger crushed it.
Bianca Swagger.
Bianca Swagger, the last line of defense against the Diamond Divas. Can she hold her? She cannot.
She could not, and that's going to be a scoring sweep. And now a 25-point lead for the, and here comes Mount Crushmore behind it. And I'll tell you what,
Oh, man.
great blocking. I'm very impressed with Bakersfield offensive blocking. They have opened up a huge lead, 49-21, and they have a double wing formation and just skate together. And they're like the flying wedge. They just take Humboldt right out. Bakersfield's going to call the rush off, but all of a sudden, looking at the scoreboard, this is serious. 53-21 in favor of Bakersfield.
I think a lot of that credit is the Bakersfield Diamond Divas blockers. Not only are they blocking that jammer, they're also trying to isolate the blockers for the Redwood Rollers to give their jammer the opportunity to get through the pack.
I'll tell you what, they are playing both offensively and defensively
At the same time.
with a
Is able to get through once again.
right, but with a jammer in the penalty box for Humboldt, there's nothing the Redwood Rollers could do. And now here come Bakersfield.
Redwood Rollers really trying to hold Maniac back. The last line of defense, we have all four blockers on the tracks, making it really hard for Maniac. She's at a standstill right now.
Meanwhile, Bakersfield just patiently waiting for the Redwood Rollers to come out of the penalty box, which has now happened, but it's just like she's stuck in mud.
Oh, looks like Ron Luca got hit in the nose.
Number 23, Jordan, has been absolutely devastating as an offensive blocker.
Absolutely. Destroyer here right now, really putting the pressure on Maniac, using her teammates.
And Maniac breaks loose.
Maniac is sneaky on that inside line, able to tiptoe through, really working those toe stops.
Cloverkill trying to get through, just not able. Bakersfield's defense is fantastic. Meanwhile, Maniac just races around and is able to cut through the pack, moving a little faster, and a 40-point lead for Bakersfield right now as Maniac comes up again, and now it slows down.
Diamond Divas really playing that offense and defense, breaking up the pack, breaking up those blockers, isolating them, helping their jammer. You can see why they're in the lead right now.
Maniac breaks through. Yes, they're superior defensively. Cloverkill is exhausted as Diva after Diva puts up stiff defense and knocking her out. They're going to call off the jam, but that was a 12-0 run by the Diamond Divas when Humboldt could ill afford that to happen. 65-21 in favor of Bakersfield.
Interesting. A jam can go up to 2 minutes if no one calls it. We have not had a jam go to the full 2-minute limit yet tonight. It's always been called off by a jammer. Let's see if anyone can make it the full 2 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, it's exhausting for these players, but Humboldt is playing very tough as well. It's just that once the Bakersfield person has broke through, you've never had a Humboldt person really break through. And Kate's Bush, She's trying, but she's giving away a lot of size. Oh, the tremendous hit there. Trying to block Daddy Longlegs and breaking through for Bakersfield is RBF. Humboldt just hasn't had a jammer be able to break through and be the lead jammer.
And it looks like Kate Bush is trying to pass that jammer panty to her pivot, trying to get some help. Someone cut the track. Who was it?
It was RBF.
RBF cut the track. All right.
So that means now it is a power jam for Humboldt, and they're starting to get the skating that they needed to get some points, but disappointingly that the offensive blockers fell behind. that's what Bakersfield has done so much better than Humboldt at this point.
Absolutely, the multitasking. Oh,
But Kate Bush breaks through.
but
That was the hardest 4 points she ever had to earn.
a little bit of help from her blockers there. But the blocker's at a standstill once again, so she's got to come up.
They're waiting.
Ball.
You know, okay, got you once. Can you do it again? She is working very hard. But you talk about stiff competition. And
she lost her glasses.
lost her glasses. I mean, there's parts falling off. It's just very tough going. These Bakersfield defenders are absolute blocks of granite.
They're being brutal to Kate Bush right now, not only knocking her down over and over again, but skating way back, making her work extra hard, coming all the way half a track back from where she was.
1 step forward and 2 steps back for Kate Bush. Meanwhile, RBF has been hung up by the Humboldt team, and the whistle blows.
Rollers were able to get 7 points on that, though.
And needed to, 65-28.
Definitely needed that. You can see how important that lead jammer position is when you have the power to call it before the other team can score. It makes all of the difference. If the Redwood Rollers are going to get the lead back, they're really going to have to get that lead jam position.
It's going to be chakra punch for the Rollers.
Right into the core, trying to
Right to the core, good blocking out front. But Baby Kong is the one that you can't get past. My God, she's fantastic on the defense.
Yeah, Baby Khan is a wall on her own. Chakra
Khan.
Back. Able to avoid that penalty, tiptoeing back behind where she's supposed to be. But she's still got 3 blockers to try to push through. Oh, man, they just cut her out on the inside line.
Meanwhile, it's RBF. The Redwood Rollers were on a power slam there for a second, but RBF is trying to work their way toward the front. Chakra Khan, or Chakra Punch, rather. Chakra Punch.
Almost got out.
Almost.
Got
one-on-one with Ash.
Trying to separate that.
Heading toward turn 3. Who's going to, and Chakra Punch is down.
Diamond Divas have 3 bridges going on right now to try to let their pivot continue to block Chakra Punch.
Chakra Punch is now on a scoring run.
Chakra Punch coming up a little bit slower this time.
Knocked down by RBF, who was circling, and Chakra Punch gets past
Meanwhile,
at least a person. She's going to score a couple points.
Knocked out on the inside line.
RBF has been pushed back again. I don't see any points being awarded at the moment, and it looks like 2
Rollers called it
for the Rollers.
There's a timeout. It looks like the Diamond Divas called a team timeout for this one.
Team timeout for Bakersfield, 65-30. They fell back 65-21, so they've made up 9 points in the last 2 jams, but still a long way to go.
Chakra Punch worked really hard for those 2 points.
KZZH Radio 96.7. Underwriters brought to you by the Speakeasy One, Pablo Cervantes, and Rennie Legal Group. Pablo Cervantes reminding you that the 2024 presidential primary election is March 5th. Find out more at humboldtgov.org/elections. Here we go, 67-30 as they went ahead and worked out the points. It was actually a 2-2 session, and now everything jammed up at the jam line. Jumped up, and oh no, Wrecker absolutely laid out by Jordan. What a hit that was, knocking her out of bounds to the inside. And for Bakersfield, it's Maniac, who's been their top scorer, and Maniac is going to be driven out by Daddy Longlegs.
Gnome Wrecker just keeps getting pushed back further and further. Keeps getting knocked out on that inside line, and Bakersfield keeps making her go back. She's back half the track now from where she started.
And Maniac is driven out too.
She's still pushing through. Oh, able to go through on the inside line.
So now Maniac is in a scoring position. She got back past Barium.
She is diving.
And here comes Maniac. And Maniac is going to do it, scoring points.
Looks like Maniac's just trusting her blockers right now, continuing trying to grab.
Well, her blockers have been outstanding, especially number 23, Jordan, has been the best offensive blocker. And the best defensive player for Bakersfield has been Baby Kong. I mean, these two players have been dominant. In your MVP season, were you playing like they're playing right now?
I'd like to think so.
There you go.
These are some
You should say,
roller
of
derby
course I
today.
was.
We're seeing some really excellent roller derby. You can see Diamond Divas trying to isolate Bianca Swagger back there right now, keeping her from able to block their jammer. Strategy they call goading.
Well, Maniac has been driven back too. Going back and reforming, skating backwards and reforming.
Skating backwards right
And
now.
why is that? What was happening now?
No idea why they're all skating backwards. There's not even any jammers trying to get through. Oh, there's Maniac. Now she's trying to get through the blockers. We're moving in the right direction again.
Is this something that happens often where
Bianca Swagger is the pivot. She got caught way up in the back. They're trying to isolate her so she can't help and they can break up the pack.
they're going to call this off? It winds up 8 for Diamond Divas, or 7, they say, 7 for Diamond Divas. It's 74-30. This is not looking good.
Not at all. Only a little over a minute for the first half. Official timeout.
A rough half for the home team.
Sure is, but it's still early. We still have a whole nother half. Brownlick Picard still has a smile on her face, even after getting hit in the nose on the. She can hear me.
All right.
Rotten to the core, Destroyer, all at the pivot line. Waiting for that timeout to finish. Looks like the Redwood Rollers might be switching their jammer out.
1:13 to go, 74-30.
Diamond Divas all huddled up, working on their strategy. They have been excellent at adapting to the Redwood Rollers tonight.
They've come at them. There's no doubt about it. The game for the Divas right now is being won on the jam line as they're getting started.
Absolutely. I think their success tonight is being able to break up those blockers to make their jammers more successful. The jammer really relies on the blockers to help them find that hole or find their way through. And those blockers are working overtime.
Blockers are working overtime.
Offense and defense. When I started Derby, they explained it to me. It's like playing football on roller skates while people are throwing bricks at you.
So talk to me in the second half. I mean, it's only a 10-minute halftime. In the second half, the pushing against each other. I mean, you got to be barely able to stand by the end.
This girl's going to be sore tomorrow. I'll tell you that. Some tights, you see some bare skin. When you slide across this pavement, you get rink rash sometimes, like if you've ever like scraped your knee, stuff like that. A lot of bruises.
Now, this surface is pavement. When you go around the league, are the other surfaces pavement?
We do see a lot of cement tracks. Some of them they have like a sport court. It's a little bit grippier, so they have to adjust their wheels depending on what track they're skating on too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Our track is notoriously slippery, so they use a softer wheel so they get a little bit more grip on the track.
Do you ever have a wooden track?
The bank tracks are wooden. I don't think I've ever played on a wooden track though.
Do they even skate roller derby on bank tracks anymore?
I know they have one in San Diego. They definitely do still have bank track roller derby. Just nothing close to us as far as I know.
Now, are there playoffs for the Western region and
There's a
national championships?
Yeah, the WIFTA, they have a lot of different tournaments. Besides just the ranked games, the rankings for a reason, right? So you can play the best teams, and the top ranked teams will play each other for the world's best team.
There we go. And breaking through is Mount Crushmore And also breaking through, Trabmanian Devil.
Half-Manian Devil, just a half track behind.
And
Coming up quick.
4-on-1 as Humboldt. And Trabmanian Devil might break through for some points.
Looks like she was able to sneak some points through before the Diamond Divas jammer noticed that she was up there.
And was able to call it off. That seems like dirty pool.
You don't often see it when the team that has the lead jammer doesn't score any points and the one that doesn't have lead jam scores the points. That's the lack of awareness on the jammer. But as you can imagine, it's hard to concentrate when you're getting hit by 4 people, plus looking out for your blockers, plus looking at that coach on the sideline.
Bakersfield lining up far away and then moving forward with their formation. And they're tough against Cloverkill.
Cloverkill working through. She's still got 3 blockers to try to push through.
It's Baby Kong.
Oh.
But meanwhile, RBF for Bakersfield is going to take the lead.
RBF, another really sneaky jammer. She's able to do that good juke move, pretend to go one way and she goes the other way.
And she's the one that has a chance to score right now because Cloverkill hasn't broken through yet. I'll tell you, the other thing Bakersfield does so well is they slide back and they're able to, take an angle on the Humboldt jammer and just not let her get past.
No hesitation. They're just running back, making it extra hard for those Redwood Rollers jammers.
Meanwhile, Mount Crushmore on an 8-0 run. Oh, excuse me, RBF. RBF on an 8-0 run.
Oh, and a Humboldt jammer gets knocked hard out on the outside line. And again, they're making her go back half a track. Even more. Looks like 3/4 of the track now. They just keep pushing her back further and further.
Why? How can they do that?
She has to come in behind all of the other skaters. So she had to come back behind
the 4 blockers.
Blockers there. So if the blockers move backwards, then she has to keep moving backwards as well before she can go back in on the track.
Why doesn't every team do that?
A lot of teams do. It's just a strategy. If you're able to, if you can block, if you can have the awareness to run back there in time before the jammer comes in.
We're right here at the end of the half, and there it is. That is going to be the half. And let's see how these final points go ahead and shake out.
Wow, 12 for the Diamond Divas on that last jam.
12 for RBF and the Diamond Divas. A disastrous first half for the Redwood Rollers as 86-31, a 55-point deficit as Bakersfield has been smothering in the defense.
They really have. And the Rollers have been playing excellent derby. The Diamond Divas have just been better. They've been better at blocking. They've been better at breaking up the pack, better at that awareness, running back, making it harder for the jammers. We'll see if Redwood Rollers can get it together during this permission.
What would you tell your team?
I guess Amnesia, pull it together, be more aware. Those jammers really have to race back in when they get knocked out at bounds so that the blockers aren't allowed to force them back more than half a track like they've been doing. Every little bit counts.
There you go. Teams will take to their respected locker rooms, and we're going to bring Nate back in, and we'll be back before the second half. The halftime score reads Diamond Divas 86, Redwood Rollers 31.
Welcome to the KZZH Community Calendar for the week starting Friday, February 23rd, 2024. On Friday, February 23rd, check out Digital Story Screening World Premiere and Youth Panel from 3 to 5 p.m. at the D Street Neighborhood Center, 1301 D Street in Arcata. Screened will be 3 to 5 minute films created by youth who have experience in foster care, juvenile justice, mental health, and homelessness services. A panel discussion with young filmmakers will follow. Also on Friday, it's Kids Night at the Museum from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Redwood Discovery Museum, 612 G Street in Eureka. You may drop off your 4 to 12-year-olds for interactive exhibits, science experiments, crafts and games, exploring the planetarium, playing in the water table, or jumping onto soft blocks. Find out about admission pricing by emailing info@discovery-museum.org or by calling 707-443-9694. On Saturday, February 24th, get ready to rumble as the Humboldt Roller Derby returns to KZZH 96.7 starting at 6 p.m. KZZH will broadcast all the action as the home teams go up against the Floodwater Roller Derby and Bakersfield Diamond Divas. Tune into 96.7 or stream it live at kzzh.accesshumboldt.net. Broadcast of the HRD season is kindly provided by the Speakeasy, Cafe Brio, Juan Pablo Cervantes, and the Renee Law Group. Also on Saturday, come to an evening with a Redwood legend, photographer Dave Van DeMark, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Bayside Corners, 1928 Old Arcata Road. You can meet Redwood Force photographer Van DeMark and learn about his adventure through photos and stories. His photographs helped convince Congress to set aside and enlarge the Redwood National Park. This is a free event, but donations will be gladly accepted. Email director@yournec.org or call 707-822-6918 for more information. Finally, on Saturday, the Cal Poly Humboldt Music Department performs at 2 p.m. at the Morse Graves Museum of Art, 636 F Street in Eureka. Faculty members from the Cal Poly Humboldt Music Department perform pieces in a variety of styles, including classical, crossover genres, and chamber music. There's a very modest admission price, but it's free for HAC members, children less than 17 years old, and families with a BT card. Go to humblearts.org to find out more. On Sunday, February 25th, there will be a Humboldt-based South Spit birding trip from 8:30 a.m. to noon at the Mike Thompson Wildlife Center, South Spit Humboldt Bay, South Jetty Road in Lolita. This is a driving trip with short walks on sand and other soft surfaces. Meet Ken Burton at the beach parking lot. Pack food if you wish to stay past noon. Email shrike3@gmail.com or go to rras.org to find out more. Also on Sunday, it's Food Not Bomb starting at 4 p.m. on the Arcata Plaza, 9th and G Streets. There will be free hot food for everyone, mostly vegan and organic, and always delicious. On Monday, February 26th, there will be 2 online home sharing info classes, the first from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and the second from 1 to 1:30 p.m. These informational Zoom sessions will go over the steps and safeguards of Area 1 Agency on Aging's matching process and the different types of home share partnerships. Email homeshare@a1aa.org for the link. You may also go to a1aa.org/homesharing or call 707-442-3763 to find out more.
Back to the live broadcast on KZZH 96.7 FM of the Humboldt Roller Derby. I am Nate Dogg here with you, and I have Dave to my side. We're back again, giving Paul and Chelsea a break. They are doing such a fantastic job tonight. I hope you folks out there listening are enjoying the broadcast. We are definitely enjoying being here. This is quite about... Gentleman next to me looked over at me and said, "There's a lot of pushing going on." There is a lot of pushing going on. So many falls, and like every time somebody falls, I'm like, "Ow!" Because they're falling on cement, Dave.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's an easy landing for a lot of these people out there. Especially, I have to say, the home team, Redwood Rollers, is definitely getting pushed around a little bit. I wish it wasn't the case, but slightly favoring the home team here, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so they are wearing pads. They all have knee pads, elbow pads, and wrist guards, and of course helmets. But most of the time when they fall, they're falling on their backside, on the cement.
Yeah, it's one of those falls, like when it happens on ice, which is similar to concrete.
Totally.
You think to yourself, maybe once a winter, I don't really want that to happen again. But this is more like once every few minutes for a lot of these people out there. They are really throwing it around.
I know.
Very, very cool.
How are they going to be walking tomorrow?
I know. So
down.
it's funny because that's what I was thinking is at the end of the last game, actually. I was watching how they were trying to, stick it out and get things done through the end. And they were kind of running out of steam. But now coming back after this intermission, I think that for this game, these guys are really going to be recharged.
Let's hope so. I've seen some shoulders to the grill.
Oh, no, this is the real deal. This is legit.
Grill is in teeth. Shoulders to teeth. I've seen that a couple times. I have yet to see any blood, though.
So we were just given the little wave that we are down in the final 2.5 minutes before they start up in this second half. The brass band is jamming like the Empire song from Star Wars, like getting everybody super hyped.
All right, Dave, our time is up. Let's give it back to Paul and Chelsea.
Right
Thanks
on.
for listening, you guys. Keep it tuned in here. Humboldt Roller Derby.
Welcome back to Franceschi Hall. It's going to take an effort. You hear the Star Wars music behind us. It's going to take that kind of effort to beat the Bakersfield Death Star that has been unleashed on Humboldt tonight. Humboldt Roller Derby underwriters, Speakeasy, can be found at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka, and they are open 7 days a week from 4 in the afternoon to 11 p.m. Juan Pablo Cervantes reminding voters that the 2024 presidential primary election is March 5th, just around the corner. Find out more at humboldtgov.org/elections. Also, the Rennie Law Group, support for Humboldt Roller Derby. They provide legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law in the public interest. Find out more by going to renniepubliclawgroup.com or by calling 415-848-7200. And Cafe Brio supports us, an underwriter, a European-style bistro with casual organic bites and baked goods, plus artisanal coffees and local wines. Open 7 days a week from 8:30 to 2. Cafe Brio can be found at 791 G Street on the Arcata Plaza or at cafebrio.com. 86-31, second half. Teams will trade benches. Maybe that'll be luckier for the Redwood Rollers. We're here on KZZH Radio 96.7. Chelsea is back. Chelsea, what do the teams get together at half? I see a lot of milling around with the crowd. It's kind of informal, but how do the Redwood Rollers usually approach the halftime?
In my experience, it was always very serious during halftime, especially when you're coming up from a point deficit like they are right now. You can see they all have their game faces. It's not as smiley and dancy as the first game.
No. This time it's the Humboldt team that's going to line up farther beyond the jam line, although Bakersfield now getting aggressive. It's Chakra Punch for Humboldt and Mount Crushmore for Bakersfield. And Chakra Punch is going to break the pack.
Good start for the Redwood Rollers for the second half. Lead GM status, but Diamond Divas right on her tail. The jammer knocking down mod behavior.
It has just been hard hitting. And look at that. With all that action going on, it's Mount Crushmore, even though the lead jammer was Chakra Punch, but Chakra Punch is being held up, and Mount Crushmore is doing just that, crushing.
She really is. Another one of those situations where even though Redwood Rollers has the lead jam position, Mount Crushmore is the one scoring the points for the Diamond Divas right now. Not a great position for our Redwood Rollers.
And it's an 8-0 run already for Bakersfield, exactly what could not happen to start the second half.
Chakra Punch is still struggling, getting hit down over and over again onto her knees, struggling to break through that blocker. That blocker wall, they've got like all three of them over there. We have one of the blockers trying to break up
chakra punch just cast aside and thrown to the floor, and now she's going to go all the way back.
She finally calls it, taking that 8-point.
Jordan gets the
off.
call. The rush is called off. A 12-3 difference, 98-34. Chelsea, who was the toughest team you ever played?
The toughest team. Well, I'd probably have to say San Jose, since they're the ones that broke my knee.
There you go. Broken body parts.
But every game is a challenge. These games, they're just getting better and better. The more experience that these teams have, we've come so far. Here's the next jam. We have number 8 again.
Maniac and Kate's Bush. And this has been a bad matchup for Humboldt because Maniac is well outscored. And once again, Maniac breaks through the pack, and Maniac is the one on the scoring run, while
Maniac
Kate's Bush is she going to break through? Tough play here.
One more blocker to pass, and she does it.
But Maniac is scoring 4 points and calls off the rush before Kate's Bush can get up to the line and have her scoring opportunity.
Yep, the Diamond Divas come up with 4 points. Redwood Rollers, nothing on that jam. I thought it was a really good start for the Redwood Rollers, getting that lead jammer position. It did not end up helping them.
Now, tell me the truth. I've got to think that we're going to see far more of that strategy employed by Bakersfield.
It's been working for them. I don't know why they would change it now.
102-34. That's not a misprint.
Started out really close, but the Diamond Divas just keep increasing that lead.
This at one point in this game in the first half, it was 21-20 Humboldt. Since that time, they've been outscored 82-13.
No record trying their hardest to push that pack forward, forcing them out past the bounds so they can let her go.
Is there a time that the blockers can hold?
It's not a time limit, it's a distance. So there's marks on the track about 10 feet each. They can't go 20 feet past the pack, where the main group of the skaters are. So the jammer can push that blocker up. Once they get past the 20-foot line, they're not allowed to hold the jammer anymore, or they'll receive the penalty.
Gnome Wrecker right in front of us in turn 1, and it's Baby Kong and Ash who have been devastating defenders tonight, and they are holding her back.
Baby Kong been a really great blocker tonight. She's like a single person wall up here, and now she has 2 people helping her. The pivot for the Diamond Divas working as that bridge, making sure that her blockers don't go outside of that 20 feet mark. So her blockers can keep doing their job, holding back Gnome Wrecker. They're doing a great job. She's not making much progress at all right now.
Rotten to the core came out and tried to help spring Gnome Wrecker, but to no avail. Baby Kong is the largest player on the track today.
And she is using her size to her advantage.
And she's very quick, and she takes great angles.
One of the things I love about roller derby is all shapes and sizes are welcome here. There's a place for everyone, an advantage for every different type of body.
Well, but there isn't one sport on planet Earth that doesn't help to be big and fast.
I guess not. Lots of athleticism here tonight. And
lots of athleticism. So 3 points for Humboldt, 102-37. Talk about that, the athleticism. Were you an athlete as a youngster?
I was not an athlete as a youngster. I was never really into sports. My cousin actually convinced me to join roller derby. I didn't even know how to skate. But they do level 1 training. They teach you how to fall first. They teach you your basic skate skills. They don't do any contact at first. And then once you're hooked, then they teach you the gameplay. They can do the hit. Then you go contact.
At the halftime, I saw a sign up for boot camp. Did you go to boot camp?
Yes, boot camp is where you have to start out. Unless you're already an experienced skater on the team, you have to start out with boot camp. That's where you learn your basic skills. And there are regular boot camps. There's one happening right now. I think the next one starts after May 2nd is when this one ends. So if you want to join roller derby, you can go to HumboldtRollerDerby.com and sign up for boot camp. Even if you don't know how to skate, they'll teach you. They'll teach you how to fall. They'll teach you how to play the game. And there's nothing like being a part of a strong group of women like this. It is so empowering. Being able to learn something new and find new skills that you're good at, like I did. I never thought I would be an athlete at all.
And this is a very athletic game. I mean, because this has got everything. This has got speed and size and hitting. Now, Humboldt Roller Derby also has two other teams that are just home teams that are development teams. The Widowmakers and the North Betty Jetties.
That's right. And you can watch those. They do free scrimmages here as well, where you can watch those two home team plays. You don't get all the rigmarole, the radio. Oh, and we already have the Diamond Divas coming out to get lead jammer status just in that 1 second when we were trying to talk about them.
That's right. Mount Crushmore doing it. This is a power jam because
Mount Crushmore trying to break.
They don't have the jammer.
Coming across, you still got 3 blockers to get through, pushing, inching forward.
Gnome Wrecker finally gets around some of the blockers, but I'll tell you what.
Oh, Gnome Wrecker pushed down.
Bakersfield has just been tremendous, and they just keep moving back. Meanwhile, it's Mount Crushmore smashing into the Humboldt line, and she's going to get around those blockers.
She sure did. Bakersfield using that same strategy, trying to stretch out the pack so that the Redwood Rollers are not able to continue blocking her without the penalty.
Mount Crushmore has been tough in this one.
She was just knocked out on the outside line, though, and it looks like she's going to get a cut track penalty for that one.
And that's because when she re-entered in too forward a position.
Exactly. She came in front of the Redwood Rollers blockers. You are not allowed to do that. So this is the Redwood Rollers' opportunity for that power jam. This is their chance to try to regain some of these points.
But the problem with having a power jam is you've got to get your jammer through.
Yeah, exactly. And Diamond Divas are not making it easy at all.
No record.
No record. She got the panty pass. She's now putting on the star helmet. She has not
had a
jammer.
tough night. She had the panty in her hand to maybe pass it, but then she broke through.
Oh, cut. And then she is knocked out on the inside line. And
Melly Mayhem doing the job. So a 10-1 exchange there on that rush. It's 112 to 38.
Rollers only able to get 1 point on that. We have our blockers lined up. Rotten to LaCour, experienced skater there. Braun-Luc Picard trying to get their strategy together. Number 707 up there, Slam Chowder. This is her second game as well. It doesn't look like she's tired, though. She is still coming on strong.
Well, Braun-Luc Picard and Slam Chowder taking on Maniac.
Odd behavior. They're recycling their blockers again, trying to make it hard for Maniac. Maniac able to slip through on the inside line.
Now Kate's Bush, she's in a scoring position, and she's got 4 points. And she calls off the jam.
She saw Maniac coming right to the pack. She did not want to allow her to score any points. So Redwood Rollers will take the 4, wait for the next jam.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know. Talk to me. Do you try to go for as many points as possible because you're 70 points down?
It's a tough call. You don't want to give up those points, but at some point you have to kind of sacrifice a few if you think you can get more. That's trusting your bench coach.
Breaking through RBF. Cloverkill caught one under the mouth. She was hit by Scarlet Vixen.
They're coming up really fast here. A little bit faster this time, making it easier for those jammers. Jams called. RBF called it with only 2 points scored. Oh, one.
One each?
Oh, wait, it looks like Redwood Rollers actually got 2 points. They kept changing the scoreboard here. But we need so many officials, not
Right.
skating officials, and the referees on the track, keeping track of all this action.
We're at KZZH 96.7 radio, and we are community access radio broadcasting live roller derby from Franceschi Hall.
Skaters are lined up, waiting for that whistle. There's already a lot of movement going on even before the whistle.
A lot of movement going on before the whistle.
Just trying to constantly adapt to the other team's strategy. Redwood Rollers having a tough time with that tonight. They are able to get Mount Crushmore out of bounds, holding her back as hard as they can.
It's just an absolute defensive gem being thrown out here by Bakersfield. They move, slide, and block really well. And Mount Crushmore being pushed by Jordan in front. Here comes a player that was a pivot back in. That was Ash. And Mount Crushmore is going to break loose while Chakra Punch is still pushing for the Rollers. Smash into the line. Oh, Chakra Punch takes an enormous hit from Jordan, who's going to go to the penalty box. Now, that's got to be a large. How long did you have to sit in a box for that? I mean, she hammered her.
There's major penalties and minor penalties. You get, I think it's 30 seconds. I'm not sure. I'll have to relook at the rules.
Mount Crushmore, 8-point run.
Oh, Shaka Punch still just really going slow, coming back on there now. You can tell that last hit really took something out of her.
It did. It was a hard hit, and she fell hard. And then that Bakersfield strategy of pushing them back.
It's a really emotional game, not just on the physical side, but the mental capacity that it takes to do all that. Roger the court just got knocked out.
Number 23, Jordan, a hip check, knocking Rotten to the core out.
She was not expecting that.
No. Jam called off. And 12-0 run, 125-44. Now, I mean, you have to think about what's the worst the home team has ever been beat here.
Oh, I'm not sure, but this has definitely got to be one in the books here. This is not looking good for our Redwood Rollers.
Okay, so we want to thank Underwriters Rennie Law Group, practicing public law in the public interest. We want to thank the Speakeasy. They're open daily, 7 days a week, 4 to 11. They can be found at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka. And Juan Pablo Cervantes saying that all valid vote by mail ballots are processed in every election in California. They're postmarked by March 5th and arrive at the county elections office by March 12th.
Got another time out here. Looks like the officials are still conferring. Skaters coming back on the track.
17:46 to go. Not the home team's night as Bakersfield leads it 125-44.
Redwood Rollers are really going to have to adjust if they're going to come back from this.
Well, this is going to be a tough first loss.
Yes, it will. Just comes down to who wants it more. Right now, it's Maniac that really wants it. She was able to sneak by on that inside line as lead jammer.
And once again, it's been that tough matchup. But Kate's Bush, you know, a much smaller player compared to this Bakersfield line. I mean, she's giving great effort, but just hard to get through. Meanwhile, Maniac is in scoring mode, being held up. Daddy Longlegs and
Daddy Longlegs really aware of that, pushing back, running back, making that jammer really work for it.
Bury him. They're going to call off the jam. Four points for the Divas, none for Redwood Rollers, 129-44.
Such a fast moving game. There's never very much downtime here. Skaters configuring at the lines.
Well, you know, they've alternated the Divas, how they've started, where they've started, say, 10 yards away and been in motion when the jam starts, or like this, they're in a standing position to start right on the jam line. Travanian Devil.
Tasmanian Devil trying to push through, breaking up that pack.
It's Baby Kong, though, is always the last defense.
Looks like Baby Khan's getting that penalty for continuing to walk past the 20-foot line.
There you go.
Oh, no, it wasn't Baby Khan. It was number 218 there.
And we've got Travanian Devil knocked out by Ash.
Scarlet Vixen in the box for the Diamond Divas.
Down here in corner number one, it is slow and steady and hard, and breaking out is RBF.
The jam is called.
The
Diamond
jam is
Divas,
called.
they're down a blocker. Let's see if this helps out the Redwood Rollers. One less blocker to break through.
The Diamond Divas did win that little session, though, 4-3.
Another close jam.
15-13 and counting to go here in the second half of what has been a very difficult opener for the Redwood Rollers.
So Bianca Swagger helping out her jammer. It was not enough, though. Diamond Divas still able. Oh,
Mount Crushmore.
the jammers were so close. It was hard to tell who was the lead jammer on that one. They kind of both got out right around the same time there.
So the jam called with no scoring occurring for either team. 133-47 in favor of the Diamond Divas from Bakersfield. Now they run a different formation for Maniac, trying to spring her. And both she and Kate Bush get loose.
It's jammer on jammer right now.
Yeah, we haven't seen that tonight.
So the Diamond Divas jammer is working as a blocker.
And Kate Bush beats her on the inside. But now Maniac takes her and squares up against her. Oh, and they go down here in turn one.
This is an interesting strategy with the Diamond Divas. The jammer on jammer action. The Diamond Divas.
And Kate Bush going to call the jam. Now, why is that great? Tell me about that strategy.
I've never seen a jammer block another jammer like that for so long and so intensely.
Really?
I would expect the Diamond Divas to continue skating the laps and trying to get those points. Instead, her focus was on the Redwood Rollers jammer and just trying to keep her from scoring any points. So we ended up with no points scored. It looked like the Redwood Rollers were just kind of laughing at that strategy. It was like such a surprise. Oh, we got Chakra Punch back up.
Chakra Punch back up, and RBF are the jammers that are starting here. Chakra Punch, she has been so tough.
Oh, that was a big hit on the Diamond Divas. Head to the floor on that one.
But breaking out of the pack is RBF.
See, she got out of the pack and then she was kind of had her head down trying to compose herself. Using that reverse stop, slowing herself down before she gets to the pack to avoid a penalty. You can't hit the back of an opposing skater or you will get a penalty. The smart starting and stopping.
So RBF on a scoring run. She just put 4 on the board with her first pass through, and now here comes a tripod by Humboldt. It's
Daddy
Bianca Swagger, Daddy Longlegs, and
that Maud.
I think it is Maud Behavior. And coming back in is
Blocker for the Redwood Rollers out of the penalty box. Shocker Punch still at a standstill, trying to inch forward, trying to find any space she can. But these Diamond Divas are just relentless on the blocker. Got a pig pile on the floor. Just had a bunch of skaters fall down.
Just kind of eroding into this standstill game slow, because Bakersfield likes to play this big, tough, physical, slow game.
Yeah, and the Redwood Rollers are really feeling that. It makes it so much more difficult for our jammers. Shocker Punch getting up a little bit slower each time. It looked like she looked a little shaken after that hit.
Well, and the way the Bakersfield team goes, they simply move back and then force Humboldt to start so much farther back. 141-47.
It is such a defeating feeling when you're getting hit over and over again, and then you get hit out of bounds, and then you have to skate back a whole half lap of a track and do it all over again.
No.
It really takes a lot of mental capacity to just be able to push yourself forward and keep skating.
Now, remember, coming into this game, this Bakersfield team was ranked behind Humboldt, and yet they're nearly 100 points ahead. This has been impressive.
It looks like more now. They got lead jammer status again.
Mount Crushmore, but breaking loose.
Rotten to the core is the pivot. She's trying to get up there to help her jammer. They're not letting her do anything right now.
No. And I'll tell you, who's had a tough night just going to the floor is Gnome Record.
Gnome Record spent a lot of the time on the floor tonight.
It's been terrible. Actually, it is rotten to the core, the pivot, and just got the panty on when the jam was called. But the Diamond Divas put up 7 while the jam was being called. And now they have a lead of 101 points with 9:45 to go.
That is then not going to be easy to get back from.
They're not making up 100 points in 9 minutes.
They're not giving up, though. They're still playing really smart derby, working on those formations, going back to those basic skills, doing the best they can to give us the best game possible.
You know, even the Diamond Divas, even in a short scrum that we see a lot, they take such good angles.
They really do. They find those holes so easily. Oh,
Maniac.
Maniac right now.
She's on a scoring run. Meanwhile, Kate's Bush, she's been tough as can be all night, but this, she's not in the same weight class.
She got kicked out again. She's probably a third of the size of some of these blockers on the Diamond Divas.
It's been a real mismatch. You could tell when Bakersfield was warming up. This is a big, powerful team. Oh, and Daddy Longlegs whiffs and Maniac passes and is scoring points.
Kate's Bush still trying to get through that pack. She's not able to get through those blockers right now. Trying her hardest. Inching.
Kate's Bush is going to sleep well tonight, that's for sure.
She does finally get through,
but the jam gets called as soon as she gets through. All that hard work, getting through, and then the jam is called. 6 more points, 154-47.
You work so hard just to keep them from scoring without 1 more point. Just for nothing. Diamond Divas got 6 on that.
That clock can't run out fast enough, can it, right
8
now?
minutes. So it's got to be heartbreaking for the Rollers right now. Destroyer and Braun Luke Picard trying to block the Divas jammer. They are successful right now.
So pushing forward, Cloverkill, who has had a rough night. She's finally the lead jammer, but I mean, that has been very few and far between for her. And this evening, here she's coming up to Baby Kongs, and she passed it.
The inside line there.
So they had 2 blockers in the penalty, and that's the way to do it against this Bakersfield team. Now, Bakersfield only 1 blocker down, but that doesn't seem to matter to them. They are one tough team. Cloverkill trying to pass, working hard, getting to the inside, into turn 2 and just being pushed around by Regulator.
75, yeah, regulator.
Back at full strength are the Diamond Divas.
She is able to make it through, though, getting some points for the rollers.
Good job for Cloverkill. Most points that she has scored in a session this game. 8-0 run, but passed up here.
Redwood Rollers really putting the pressure on the Diamond Divas right now, blocking wise. They're able to get the jammer out.
Cloverkill wobbling a bit. She must be exhausted. She was taking them on, and she gets through again. A great 12-0 run. I mean, here's a person who's had a very rough night and hasn't had any success like this. And now the largest run of the night for her, 12 points.
This is what the rollers have been needing. It just might be too little too late. Oh,
but she's going to make it 16. 4 times around, they finally called a session.
Excellent.
16-0, the brightest spot of the night for the Redwood Rollers.
That was an excellent jam for the Redwood Rollers. Excellent blocking, keeping that Diamond Divas jammer from scoring any points, really putting the pressure on her. Let's see if they can keep it up on this next jam.
Finish strong. We saw the first game where Floodwater finished their game strong.
They sure did.
Although they were dominated by a very offensive Humboldt team, this game has been far more of a defensive struggle.
It really has, a lot slower, a lot more defensive. We do have our jammer in the ahead once again. Is she able to get out? Oh man, the Diamond Divas snuck right out.
Crushmore is going to get out there. Number 23, Jordan, has been unbelievable in this game. Humboldt getting ready to block, and contact is made. Mount Crushmore goes down. Pushing back is Bianca Swagger, but Mount Crushmore is advancing. Meanwhile, the Bakersfield strategy of just moving back so that Humboldt has to re-enter far back along the track, and Mount Crushmore goes to the ground.
Jordan really good at taking that hit and using it to her advantage. It's almost like she uses the momentum from the hit to her spin move to be able to get around the blockers. Really impressive. Really great awareness for the Diamond Divas blockers and jammers.
We've said that it's been a defensive struggle. Well, it's been a struggle for Humboldt, 158 points have been put on the board by the Diamond Divas. A great block there. Purple sticky punch gave a great hip check to Mount Crushmore, yet Mount Crushmore comes back and goes on a scoring run.
Mount Crushmore with the apex jump. Jumping that corner, saving herself a little bit of track time. It's a risky move, though. If she touches anyone during that jump, she gets the penalty. Oh, able to do that spin move.
Unbelievable, because there was a great hip check there by Purple Sticky Punch again, but it just simply did not stop her. And this lead now is back over 100 points.
Excellent footwork. Almost looked like a figure skater on that one.
That's
like
right.
Up in there.
It's like the Soviet judge gives her a 10.
13 for the Diamond Divas in that jam.
13-0. 167-63. Did you ever play in a bout where you lost by 100 points?
I wouldn't remember that. I would probably try to erase that from my memory.
Will this one get erased, or are they going to have to go to school and talk about what happened?
I'm sure they're going to carefully dissect this game when they're watching the replay later on. They do spend a lot of time researching other teams, looking back on old video footage, trying to improve themselves any way they can.
So this is being filmed so that they'll watch it?
It sure is. We see a couple of cameras around right now. Sometimes you can find these on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly where. If you check out the Humboldt Roller Derby website, you can probably find them, though.
So Maniac has got a chance to score, and she's down here in turn 1.
Shaka Punch not being able to do anything.
Shaka Punch has been wrapped up all night.
Not moving at all. She's just wedged between these blockers right now.
So there's only 2 minutes left in this one. Humboldt is looking at a deficit of over 100 points. Shaka Punch just got thrown into the middle of the ring again, and Maniac is back trying to score. She's on a 4-0 run, but gets bumped out herself.
She sure does. And you see Broughton to the core now running back, trying to force that jammer over half a lap back.
Chakra Punch just trying to push ahead. And that's going to be the jam.
It's not making any progress, Chakra Punch. Unfortunately, she
173.63.
ouch. Only a 123 left. Wow, this has gone so fast. Is it just me, Paul, or is this flown by for you tonight too? I feel like we just got here.
So this game is also being filmed by Access Humboldt and will be on the TV and the web.
Ah, you got the inside scoop on the video footage, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, Access Humboldt does it all: radio, TV, KZZH, part of the Access Humboldt family of broadcasting network 96.7, and we're going to be here all year for the roller derby. And I'll bet you a beverage. We'll see a better one next time on the 30th.
I really, yeah. Every game is different. Every game is exciting. If you couldn't make it to this one, I would say try to make it to the next one. You don't want to miss this. We can only give so much detail. You don't get to see these hits in person like we do. You don't get to see the faces of these skaters, the defeats, the heartache, the cheers. Next game, March 30th.
March 30th. Baby Kong goes down. Bakersfield players falling all over the place. This is really playing hard to the end. There's only a 1:09 to go.
Gnome Wrecker pushing.
Gnome Wrecker's had a tough night. Not giving up, though. I mean, no one's giving up. Here comes Slam Chowder into the fray.
The Divas jammer in the penalty box right now. Let's see if Gnome Wrecker can take advantage of this opportunity.
Power jam for Humboldt, but they can't get their jammer released.
Those blockers trying so hard to help their jammer out, but it is just not working right now. Gnome Wrecker struggling, trying to get through those blockers.
I don't know if Gnome Wrecker broke through for a point
and
in this game.
Lead jammer.
Now she can go, but here comes the lead jammer, Mount Crushmore, after the penalty for Bakersfield. Gnome Wrecker, can she get?
So Gnome Wrecker is actually the lead jammer right now. Oh,
right?
No, it is not. It is Mount. No, it's, yeah, the Redwood Rollers do have the lead jam status, and Gnome Wrecker called it.
Gnome Wrecker calls it, and 37 seconds to go in the jam.
One more jam.
So Redwood Rollers win that one 2-0.
Little bit. Let's see if they can close that gap on this final jam of the evening.
I think the clock is going to run out, and the Rollers are going to be happy that it does.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to let it run.
173-65. A real tough opener for the Redwood Rollers. These Diamond Divas were very impressive.
You know who else is impressive? Our the live commentator here, 222 Legit, otherwise known as Legs, here running around. The referees, I think some of the refs skate more than the actual skaters, trying to chase down these shimmers. And of course, our Dirty Derby blowhards playing their hearts out all night long.
Crowd is really thinned out as the score has gone ahead and moved to over 100 points. This place was packed earlier, and the way the game started, I thought, my goodness gracious, it's going to go like this the whole night. But 173 points for Bakersfield. They've been so tough.
And our referee Meow looks tired right now.
Well, we'll see what's going on as far as time in the game. And they say there's 1 second left.
They're giving 1 second, one final jam. Skaters lining up for the final jam.
Will it be a final jam or?
Even if it's only 1 second of the clock, it can still go the full 2 minutes for the jam.
Oh, can the jam go 2 minutes?
It can if none of the jammers call it off. We haven't seen that happening tonight.
So one final jam.
There's no way the rollers are gonna be able to overcome this loss, but they can close the gap a little bit.
I think this one, the substantial lead that Bakersfield built at half, too much to overcome. So the final jam, it's Maniac and Cloverkill. Cloverkill breaks loose. While Maniac is being held in check.
Small win for the Redwood Rollers, able to get that lead jammer on the final jam.
So Cloverkill trying to score some points, all this in extra time, as there was 1 second on the clock, which allowed this jam to start.
When they're really all trying to leave it all on the track. Cloverfield still
this would
pushed out.
be a much different situation if it was a close game, but
They're playing like it's a close game, though. They're playing like every second, every point counts.
they're playing hard, no doubt about it.
Cloverkill using her blockers, and she calls it.
And that's the final score. Let's see what the final points are put up.
Cloverkill able to get.
It's going to be 174 to 69, a 105-point victory for the Bakersfield.
You're pretty good at math there, Paul.
Thank you. The Diamond Divas. I'm shaking my head at just such an intense final score. So let's go over the specifics here. Again, KZZH Radio 96.7. We are going to be your broadcasters for the season, the home season for Humboldt Roller Derby. That's all the way to November. I'm Paul Versu here with Chelsea. I guess I have to get a name by the 30th. I'll be thinking about it. Want to thank our underwriters, the Speakeasy. They're open 7 days a week. They're a New Orleans-inspired custom-built bar. They can be found at 411 Opera Alley in Eureka. We want to thank Juan Pablo Cervantes, underwriting support for the broadcast, and reminding voters that the 2024 presidential primary election is March 5th. We want to thank Rennie Law Group, providing legal services to public agencies throughout California, practicing public law and public interest. Find more by going to RenniePublicLawGroup.com or calling 415-848-7200. And the Cafe Brio, a European-style bistro with casual organic bites and baked goods, plus artisanal coffees and local wines. Open 7 days a week from 8:30 to 2:30. Cafe Brio can be found at 791 G Street on the Arcata Plaza. Your final thoughts?
Thank you, Paul, for having me tonight. This was a really exciting game. I'm so happy to be back involved in roller derby, even if I can't be on skates. It's just a pleasure to be here. You really have to see this excitement to believe it.
Fantastic. It is Humboldt County's most exciting scene, no doubt about it. For KZZH Radio, for Nate, for Matt, for Chelsea, for everyone, this is Paul Versu saying thank you and good night.
Rock me.